Okay, I think we are live. What is going on, Krishan? How are you doing? Let's go ahead and get this thing started.
Let's get it cracking.
Man,
Let's get it
listen,
cracking.
normally we have all kinds of music and all kinds of fancy stuff, you know what I'm saying? And we just coming
Right.
in hot today, man.
Yeah,
Listen,
no, it's
that is that
time.
is that is where we are at, man. Hold on, let's see. Up, look at
It's
us, man. Look at us.
I mean, we
Look
just
at
ready.
us.
Like
Look.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Look,
I'm
you
ready.
ready,
Let's
man?
go.
Listen, man, because we got a lot to talk
Yes.
about, man. Do you see I got company over here,
Yeah,
right?
about to say he ready too.
Listen,
Like
man.
we all ready.
And
My
and and
godson's ready.
he
We ready. Yeah.
he has not even allowed me to set any of this stuff up. He's been chaos. I was ready about 15 minutes ago, and then he saw one of them lights and was like, and just everything went down. Like,
That's that's
word, that's what we
that's the
doing?
perfect ending to 2025. That's the
Right, right, right.
perfect
Just go ahead and turn the
ending.
lights out. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. How about this?
Let's
How
just get
about
it
how about you
cracking.
just sit here with me? You know what I'm saying? So what's going on, Krishan, man? It feels like we got a lot
Man,
to talk about, man. You know what I'm saying? Happy
you
holidays,
know,
Merry Christmas. Because they trying to take
all
Christmas
that,
from us. You know what I mean?
all
We're not
that,
gonna let them take
all that.
Christmas from us. What's
Yeah,
popping,
no,
man?
no. You know what's popping is, who just disconnected their account today, their
Who?
Instagram account, Nicki
Oh,
Minaj.
I think I just heard that. I heard she
Nicki
lost something like
Minaj,
10 million
10
followers.
million. So that
And
that
you know what?
that's
I'm proud of people for that.
supposedly.
But
I
I'm
am
proud of people.
too.
I'm proud of people for that. Yeah, yeah,
So okay, I'll say this. I'm a little naive to what do they call them? Is it the barbs?
yes.
Okay, so I'm a little naive on that demographics, right?
Okay.
So when we're talking 10 million, I
Right,
think she had about 227 million followers.
right.
So 10 million. Okay, we do the math on that. 5%. So
Mhm.
5% said goodbye. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's one of the things where her PR people are like watching the numbers just go down. So that was a brilliant move to disconnect. But who are those 10 million people?
Mm,
Because now, like, are we talking, are they, okay, so let's go to the easy part. Are
okay,
they millennials,
okay.
Generation Xers? Like, who do they fall? Because I think about my generation as an Xer.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be one of them. Follow her. I think it's
Right.
more like millennials. I think we're more into it. Anything like if you said Little Kim, like oh my God, like okay, that's going
Mhm.
to affect me. That's going to affect.
Right,
But I think millennials, right? I think,
right.
and maybe a little younger than that.
Mhm.
And are we talking black, white, in between? Like, who are these 10 million? That is a
So
lot.
I'm kind of feeling like it's a lot of black people, right?
Yeah. Oh, for
And
sure.
largely because we are the ones that's the most frustrated by what's been occurring, you know what I mean, because of the fact that, like, the whole turning point thing and the stuff that she was saying, it seems like that attack was directly at black women, you know what I'm saying, and black people in general, because she's tap dancing for them right now. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I feel like that 10 million probably is more core to what her actual base is, and not just people that liked, whatever that song was, that boom, 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 whatever that song was.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that is, you hear your boy right here. He just wants to be a
Yes.
part of this. Hey,
Right.
hey,
He's ready.
Alex,
Boom,
Alex,
boom, boom. Right.
listen,
Right.
listen,
Right.
because he's been patient. He's been patiently awaiting to get on, because before he
Correct.
used to
He
just
wants
look
to.
like
Right.
deer in the headlights, and now he's like
No,
active,
he has
right?
something to say. Right. He has
Right.
something to say about this
Right.
because okay, there's so much to unpack of that. The whole turning point conference. It's
Right.
considered a conference, right? There's so much to unpack in that.
Mhm.
It was so about the white man feeling some type of way, and that I can't even get it out. I can't even get it out. Okay, like so
But
I
because
just
let's be honest, right? Like, I mean, we know really what it is, right? Like, I mean, can we
of
be
course,
fair and say that
of
we know
course,
what it is, that it is just a
yeah,
complete grift, right?
yeah, yes,
It is a grift
yes,
from start to finish. She sees this as an opportunity to, make a come up. She's pulling the Kanye right now. That's what this is right now. She's doing that same thing that Kanye West does, where and I'm gonna be honest, Kanye West was the first one to do it. He's been doing it for over a decade. And I feel like everybody is just now catching up to what he recognized over a decade ago, which is that every time he did something absurd or controversial, he even put it in that song. Was it Niggas in Paris, when they was like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, I don't know, but it gets the people going. When he took that scene, that clip from that Will Ferrell movie, it's like he actually was putting that in there as like a clue of what his methodology is he knows how to use chaos to drum up attention. And every time that would occur, he would see a spike. He would see a spike in the amount of attention that he would get. He would probably see a massive amount of, revenue being generated because of this moment that kind of cornered everybody. And keep in mind, this is before everything was going viral all the time. So every time Kanye had one of those major moments, everybody was talking about him. You had it to the point where like the president was talking about him for a period where it was just like, it was like, yeah, when he did the thing with Taylor Swift. And then,
Right.
President Barack Obama called him a jackass, right? Like that right there was worth probably gold to him. He probably made tens of millions of dollars every time that something like that occurred. So Kanye's been doing this for a minute, but now everybody else is catching up. Everybody else is catching up that every time I do something absurd, every time I do something outlandish, that you see a spike. You see a spike in your numbers, right? And anything that's attached to you gets a little bump. And so now it's like where that's everybody's default mechanism is I got to do something crazy. And when you think about it, Nicki Minaj, I mean, when the last time that she came out with an album? I really don't know. And the fact that I don't know means that nothing that she has been doing has been receiving like positive attention. And so it was like, okay, bet, let me go ahead and be the bad guy. Like it's
I
time for
see.
me to
I
be the
see.
bad.
I see two different things though. Okay. So
Okay.
number one, I would see what you're saying, but however, I believe that men and women get different responses
I
to
agree.
the rage, right?
Hmm.
So Kanye, Snoop,
Mm,
Nelly got completely different reactions. Yeah, they got a little outraged, they got a little sellout, but then next you know, Nelly has like a big show, with
right.
Ashanti.
Hmm.
Next you know, people just suddenly forgot about Snoop and his
Okay.
performance. But let's go a little further back to Chrisette Michelle. That
Right.
was hugely controversy, and they for real canceled her.
Yeah, they did. Like, I don't think she's
For
ever come back if we just go keep it a
for
buck.
right, right.
Chrisette Michelle
So
is
it's
still canceled. And you know what? That's not funny, but I'm just saying, like,
but
damn, that's 2008. You would think she would have had a comeback from this point. Like,
and
no,
then you have
yeah, that's
Nicki
unfair.
Minaj losing 10 million
Yeah,
followers.
yeah.
So I'm gonna say there's a different reaction to the male outrage versus black women outrage. So the black men versus
So,
black
okay,
women outrage. That's
I
one point I
wholeheartedly agree. Okay, go
got.
ahead, go
Okay.
ahead. Because I was gonna say I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly agree with that, but I do just for context, what she's on right now is a little different, right? It'd be one thing if
Agree.
she just
Agree.
showed up, if she was just sitting at the table with somebody or did a
Yes.
performance. She sat
Right.
down and did a
Saying
full
happy
on
birthday. Right.
where
Right.
she
With
is
legs crossed,
saying
everything. Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
telling black women, y'all need to be nicer to these white people. You know what I mean? It's like
So,
Nikki on demon time right now. You know what I mean?
so
all,
speaking of
all the
demons,
young money is on some
yes.
bullshit right now. Let's just be
Speaking of
clear.
demon
Okay.
time, I'm gonna say no. This is the reason. This is the
Mm,
reason. I think, and I could have this wrong. So for any super fans out there, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong.
okay.
But I believe her husband and her brother have federal charges.
Okay.
I think she wants some pardons.
Somebody else said that, and that's interesting.
That's the
Okay.
first thing. That's the
Mm,
very first
okay.
thing I thought.
Okay.
I will say, now let me give you some tea. Was it like the was the new people do? I mean, the young people do. Like, let me give you some.
Okay.
There is, I believe, some of that happening currently in Chicago.
Mm. Like in
I
what way?
think in that I'm not going to name names, but I think there are some black people all of a sudden becoming Republicans and Trumpers
Mm.
that
Okay.
have some. alleged federal charges against them.
Oh,
So I think that's the new thing, right? It's like
okay.
it's possible. It's possible to get pardoned now, right? If you
Mm,
align yourself with the party. Because
okay.
we've
Well, no,
seen
no, no,
some
no, no. Not with the
insane
party. Not with the party. With MAGA specifically,
with
because
MAGA specific.
I do agree with where you're heading in the sense of one thing is clear, and everybody knows this is Trump is an egomaniac, and the way that you curry favor with him is by placating to his ego. So, regardless of what you feel, if you are willing to kiss the ring, even if it is a facade, if you are willing to be seen doing that and ingratiate his ego, he is going to lean into you. And so that's why a lot of people, that was staunchly against them at one point, or spoke sternly against them, anytime they get that
Mhm.
White House invitation, they pull up because they know, regardless of how you feel about them, if you go and like, because I have heard people say things like that, that one thing about him is that he's really into that one-on-one kind of relationship type of thing, right? Like
Yes,
he's very
yes.
chummy in that regard, and he only does things through those type of channels, right? And so if you want something from him, you got to pull up to him, right? He's
So let's
not the
unpack that
typical
though.
diplomat, right?
Let's unpack that. So let's say you had federal charges against you
Mm.
that you could serve 7 to 10 years in federal prison.
You about to try to
Maybe
expose me for being full of shit? You about to ask if I would if I pull up if I feel like that's what you about to ask. You trying to see
I don't
how would
know. Maybe
mm,
during COVID, the PPP loans looked pretty sexy, right?
right,
And
right.
so you have a case. You have a
Mm.
case,
How
and
many how
someone
many
said
years I'm
to you,
looking at? I'm
a
looking at
solid,
maximum
solid
security?
bid, solid bid, solid
Solid
bid.
bid? Mm,
Absolutely solid bid. Federal
mm.
what? You have to do 80%, right? So
Right,
let's say
right.
it's a solid bid, and we're talking eight,
Mm,
8 years you got to do, right? Okay,
right.
so
You about to expose me, man. I don't
someone
like this question.
said to
I don't like this
you,
question. I don't like
hey,
this question.
if you become associated with MAGA,
Mm,
you have the possibility to get off on all charges. All we need you to do is promote
mm,
MAGA. All we need you to do is share on your pages,
mm.
everything
The
supporting
foolishness.
MAGA. And you
You gotta
might,
lean in, right.
I'm even, okay, I'm even going to give you a little bit. I'm going to say just 10% of a
Mm,
chance that you're going to get off of all charges with a
okay,
pardon. Let's say Tim reached out to you, right? Tim reached out to you and be like, yo, I'm connected to the priz.
okay, so this is an interesting scenario, right? And kudos, for this scenario, and the reason I say that is because if you hadn't made it about money, I'd have been like, "Nah." You know what I mean? Because money isn't necessarily as important as it is, right? And as much as we all desire more of it, I wouldn't sell myself out for that. Freedom is something different. You know what I mean? Like freedom is something different. And you talk about maximum security, you know what I'm saying?
10
And
years.
man, okay, you said 10,
You're
and
going to get locked up
man, and I got a
in
toddler, you
February.
know what I'm saying? And
February, you're not going to
see
see 10 years.
at that point I'm thinking about the people surrounding me and the impact of them. Okay, so I would have to weigh it. I would have to weigh it, right? It depends on how important of a voice I think I have and how influential I think I could be.
You
Okay.
have thousands of
So
followers, Isaac.
so
You have thousands of followers.
okay, yeah. So you talking about Isaac Paul? Ain't nobody
You
following me
right
right
now,
now. Yeah,
you
ain't nobody following me. So if it's
you
about me
take
right
off
now,
that hat and you put that red "Make America Great Again" hat on. You may,
you
you
said,
may.
so wait a minute. So I put the red hat on and I get out of it now. But see, I need some guarantees though, because see, that's the thing. A lot of people
No
be out here
guarantee.
prostituting themselves. They be out here pimping themselves out, and they don't get nothing. enter
But the
Rudy Giuliani.
possibility,
Yeah,
a
but
lot
see,
of people
nah,
play
but see,
play
no,
the
no, no,
lottery. A lot of
no,
people play the
But
lottery,
and
and you just
I
have a
don't
very small.
because
So
I don't believe in playing the odds for foolishness. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to bet on myself. I don't like to bet on you. You got a
you
higher
will be
chance
betting
of
on
getting sick.
yourself. You
The hell
have
I would
deficit
no.
chance of
No,
getting out
no, 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 because okay,
or
I'll
doing
put it like this.
it.
I'll put it
Okay,
like this, right? Because I've seen too many people get burned by him and the administration to believe that I can trust it, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, did you just sell your soul? And then you still didn't even accomplish whatever the objective is, right? So now you got egg on your face for both, cases.
but you got a chance.
I mean, hell, I got a chance, man. If I try to plan an escape, if I try to
10 years.
Shawshank Redemption it, I mean, there's a chance of anything, right? Now,
10 years.
let's say that let's say it's like election time or something like that. And I think that me doing something like that tips the scales, then at that point I feel like my actions would have greater impact. But if it's just a fact of the matter of, okay, Ike, you gonna take a personal stain for a moment, the community gonna look at you a little shady, but you get your freedom. Like I said, freedom is something different. That's why when you throwing this
I
whole
didn't say a
freedom thing up
million
in there,
dollars. I
I'm like,
said
that's
a
different.
bid.
I'm like,
You
freedom is
going, I
something
don't know,
different.
you going to Joliet. I don't know. Like what I'd
Yeah.
say.
I ain't even a big nigga neither, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm be in there trying to fight, man, but they gonna be trying to take
Look,
you. You know what I'm saying? So I got to
look,
wait it's red
I
handed
am
to let them get that booty. I don't know. I ain't no big swole dude that's just
oh my
ready to be prison squabbing with niggas. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like that's why
God.
I'm like, I don't even like that's why I'm like, I don't like this scenario
I
at all.
don't know.
Now you
I hate it
really
too.
got me
I
here
hate
like,
it
oh
too.
snap. Like damn, I really got to think about this now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
So I'll
but
say that.
again, okay. Damn, this is a good scenario because at that point I'm weighing once again my freedom against the perceived uh view of how people are going to see me from that point forward. Like yes, it's going to hurt my reputation. But it's almost like and then I get out and I might tell niggas, hey y'all, man, I'm be honest with you, man. I had to get out of jail.
Can I make it
like
worse for you though? Can I make it
what you
worse?
about to say? What I can't say that? I can't tell
No, no, I'm gonna
people
make it
that
worse. I'm gonna make it worse. No, no, I'm gonna make
mm.
it way worse, way worse. So you become MAGA, tell everybody, put
Mm.
promotion behind it, you name it.
I gotta go to
And you're
rallies and do
actually
all that shit
all
when
of
I
it,
get out.
all of it, all of it. Yes, yes. Make America great again. Yeah. The whole 9 yards.
Oh man.
But let me
No.
make it worse. Let me make it worse. You're saving your wife and her brother from federal charges.
Right, right. See that
Completely
and
wiped clean. Wiped
all
clean.
right, now
Like
see
it
now I'm gonna be
never
honest. This
existed.
actually makes it a little easier because type person I am, I do things selflessly a lot more easier than I do it for myself. Like I can take punishment. I can also like do without. You know what I'm saying? I'm that type of person where you know, my ability to be able to delay gratification has been probably one of my strongest suits at this point, right? Like so I know how to I'm comfortable with sacrifice. That's why I'm like this is kind of interesting and it kind of depends on like how it presents itself because I'm thinking about it right now as a free man. Like you want to go to jail? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right.
depending upon why I was in jail, right? If I was in jail for something that was was righteous, you know what I mean? Like defending something or someone. No, then me being in jail is something righteous, right? Like I'm here because I'm fighting the system. So at that point, I can't really be like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and get out because then it totally undermines whatever the initial sacrifice was that I made to get in jail, right? Um, let's say I'm in jail because I did something that is really fucked up. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, I might deserve to be there. You know what I mean? In which case, I might need to actually pay my debt to society, in which case I would not want to pimp or prostitute myself out. So that's why I'm like, there's so many different caveats as it relates to me making that decision for selfish reasons. Now, if you say for someone I love, my wife, my son, something like that, to
That
protect
MAGA had
them,
to go right on.
I ought to go right on, because
Uh-huh.
at that point, I'm being selfless now, right? And it's not about y'all, and it's not about me. You know what I'm saying?
You're being selfless,
I can't
correct?
sacrifice them. I can't sacrifice them for something that at the end of the day is not for my ego, right? For my reputation. You know what I mean? Like I'll put that on the line for them. But if it's
So is
for
Nikki so
me,
wrong?
well, I mean, if she's
If
doing it for
that's the
her
case.
husband
Right,
and
that's what I'm
her,
saying.
and both of them, are PDFs, so
They
they
are.
probably deserve
They
to
are.
be in jail. You know what
So
I'm saying?
that's
So
the
that's
thing,
the
right? Love will
you
make you
don't
do
need
some
to be
stupid
doing
things.
this. You know what I'm
That
saying?
and
So
that's the point that I'm getting to. I'm taking two of the points that you just said that were very profound, right? One, it's different if you're going to jail for something that you did that was for a great cause and it was a righteous cause and it was a good reason, as
hmm
opposed to you did something bad, thus this is your consequence.
right.
And then there's the other side of saving the ones you love, possibly from their circumstance.
hmm
So it's how far do you go? Do
mm
you say to yourself, even though I love them, but they did something wrong? So what
mm
if your wife and your brother-in-law did something just that bad?
mm.
Would you put yourself on the line to save them from themselves, from something they did? Is
I
that
mean,
not good?
if
So
it's
if you're going to
heinous,
sacrifice yourself, why wouldn't you sacrifice them?
uh,
I'm just being devil's advocate here.
well, yeah,
You did something wrong, so
right,
you said
right.
I'll do the time. But they did something wrong too. I'm not saying they did
Right,
nothing right. They
right,
were
right.
wrong. They
No,
were
no, no,
wrong.
no, no. And to that point, yeah, if they really, really deserve to be up in there, you know what I'm saying? Now, if it's like, they changing all kinds of rules now. I don't know if you saw it, quick aside, where they just made it to where they're about to start garnishing wages again because of student loans.
I saw that.
And that continues on, because if you eventually can't pay them, then you can potentially like either lose your job, or lose your house, things of that nature. And then you become homeless, and then they're going to start criminalizing the homeless, depending upon how
Yes.
far this goes. So like, let's just say it's one of them type of things where it's like you got caught up in the system because of just unfair things, right? Like, we know how this nation operates, and it doesn't always operate the best as it relates to us, you know what I'm saying? So if it was a situation like that, and yeah, they didn't deserve to be up in there, then yeah, I'll do the noble thing. But yeah, man, if you did some more bogus shit, no, man, you might need to be up in there. I ain't wearing the Free Larry shirt and Larry actually committed that murder. No, Larry, you got some thinking to do. You got to pay your debt to society. In which case, no, I'm not going to be. And honestly, it's not even just about putting my neck out on the line, but it at that point, yeah, I'm not only sacrificing, myself, my livelihood, my reputation, my credibility, but I'm doing it to get you off on something that, yeah, might have actually been, you were wrong for that, right? Like, and you do need to pay your debt to society. But I mean, let's be honest, though. I mean, we're having this conversation with these hypotheticals, which are fun, by the way. Like, kudos on the pivot, because anytime you throw some freedom up in it, changes things.
Does it?
But we can't do that, honestly, because we are individuals with character and values and morality. And Nikki been wilding for like the last like 8 to 10 years almost, right? I mean, she's just been showing that she's just a mean spirited person. You know what I'm saying? Like, anytime that Meg the Stallion or Cardi B drops an album, they ain't said nothing about this woman, just anybody else in her space that has the audacity to be great, that has the audacity to get some attention that she thinks she's deserved. She does a couple of lines, and then she goes on Twitter and spazzes out. You know what I mean? And it's like, we've been seeing this behavior. Oh, I like every time she's taking aim at Jay-Z, and I don't know all the specifics of that, but it's like it's her shadow boxing, right? She's Don Quixote fighting windmills. And you say to yourself, like, girl, you've been spiraling for a minute, and this is just kind of who you are. And I had a realization the other day, because I'm actually proud of the 10 million people that decided to unfollow her, because it does just show that some people care. You know what I mean? Because I was
Agreed.
curious to see, like, how many of these people are so deeply ensconced in their cult that they're going to attempt to justify this behavior. I like it, girl, like they music. Don't try to justify this and say, man, she playing 4D chess. She playing chess and not chess. Don't give me that bullshit. Okay. She's grifting or she's an idiot, and the more you try to align yourself with that, I'm seeing you as like that stain is on you. It's like it's okay to disassociate yourself from that. So I'm actually proud to know that there are some people that just say that there is a bridge where you can say, you know what, you've gone a little too far. You know what I mean? Like this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like nowadays people, man, they get locked in, and it's like it does not matter what you do or who you are. They're just gonna give you the pass. You know what I'm saying? And it starts to feel like, man, like where does your character put the nah, that's a little too much. Like, is it okay to say that? You know what I'm saying? And we see this with all of these celebrities where it's like they're infallible nowadays, and so everything feels cultish, where people just release their own thought process, and just surrender to, yeah, whatever it is that they're doing, I'm gonna ride with them, So I'm actually kind of proud of just some people hearing this kind of rhetoric and saying, you know what, not only am I gonna, press the unfollow, because that does send a message, and that lets
Right.
individuals know that we're not rocking with you. Because when people can move like that with no impunity, and they start to see that, regardless, you're going to keep going with them, then they keep going. If they're not going to feel any backlash, like we are in a society nowadays that refuses to hold anyone accountable, and that's why things keep going as ridiculous as it does. And it's like, nah, sometimes, man, you got to stand on something. And I guarantee you that the majority of those people that unfollowed her were more than likely Black women that just said, nah, like, I might have been a barb, like I said, like the music. You can like the music. I don't care, man. Keep the shit in your playlist. It's okay. I get it. Art is your thing. But when you take it to the point of, no, I'm going to sacrifice them regardless, that to me is problematic, man. That's problematic. You know what I mean? When
So
you
that's
just say to
not
yourself, you
just
can do anything, and they're above reproach. And so it's like I'm proud of that 10 million. I really am, and I hope it keeps going.
I am too. I mean, she deactivated her account, so I
That's
think
crazy,
that
and probably
this is
to stop the bleeding.
correct. And I think what we're seeing now is this behavior or this thought process on celebrities. It's spilling over into just even public figures.
Mm,
It's
mhm,
spilling over into people that I wouldn't say are celebrities, but are well known, right? Certain
mm,
behaviors that we're letting go of, or we're defending, or we're so adamant that they're not, this person.
mhm.
Yeah, we're seeing some things happen. We're seeing some videos
Uh-oh.
that
Uh-oh.
are pretty much showing us who they are.
Okay.
Now,
So,
now I will say this. We all, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. I will
oh
say
yeah. Oh, I already got the video.
we
I got the video
all.
queued up this time.
I'll just say this: we all make mistakes. We all have had our days. We've all had bad days. That's just life.
Hmm.
However, I don't know,
Mm, mm.
and I'll
Okay.
say
So look, I'll go ahead and I'll play the video, and then we can go into the setup. Okay.
that. Got it.
Hello, how are you?
We were just in the same class in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Washington
So I'm supposed to remember you. Okay, can I tell y'all that this man just said, do you remember me?
From 6th or 7th grade.
Make it make sense to me. He said we were in the same class in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Me, you, Naeem, and Sharice.
Okay.
He's being serious.
Yes,
though.
he
Are you
is.
being serious? I do not. I'm sorry. No, I don't remember the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th grade.
We were in the same class.
Okay.
Me, you, and
Well,
I.
it's nice to meet you.
Yo,
Yo. Hello. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So now we can hop back into it because last time we weren't able to get into the specifics correctly,
Right.
but now here we are, so we can actually get busy.
Here
now.
we are.
Okay.
Here
Right.
we are. I'm gonna let you start.
Okay. So that was the CEO of what is it, Uncle Nearest,
Okay.
and I'm trying to think of probably the best way to kind of like break that particular scenario down. It appears that she was at a tasting of some sort. She was hosting an event, and she had individuals that were waiting for her in a line. And there's a meet and greet where you kind of go down the line and you graciously interact with individuals. And so the clip that we saw was where there was an individual that had approached her that had known her from her past, but it was from a very distant past. And we're talking 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And what we saw was her reaction to the gentleman that was trying to interact with her. And so when that video got released, social media grabbed hold of it, and they kind of dug into her because it made her look rather mean-spirited. Many people kind of felt like that was incredibly inappropriate to speak at someone that way that was showing up to an event to support you and your brand. It's okay to just say, "Oh no, hey, how you doing? No, I don't remember you, honey. What's your name?" "Oh, okay, yeah." Like, there's a gracious way of how you can go about it and keep it moving. But Fawn was, and whether she was being playful or not, it did not come off that way, because it'd be one thing if the gentleman was also laughing. It was like, "Girl, yeah, you remember me." And okay, then maybe we kind of just sweep this under the rug. But instead, what it looked like was her attempting to embarrass him, right, in a sea full of different people, and so he kind of held his ground. He wasn't mean-spirited about it, didn't call her out of her name. And she could have just even said what she said, but then she had to turn over to the crowd and was like, "Hey, do y'all hear what she said, what he said?" It's like, so now you're attempting to make a spectacle out of him. So yeah, I mean, the internet was not kind to her. Now, what I do think is kind of interesting about stuff like this is, it brings up a lot of questions, right? And so one of the things that I did want to speak about as it relates to this particular issue, and I'll get your thoughts and your feelings on it, Krishan, because you're someone that is in the same wine and spirits industry as she is. You've actually been in it longer than she has, right? And so, and then before that, you've been in the service industry for a couple of decades now, right? Working high-end retail, fashion and retail, and then you also owned a wine bar for several years. And so you've been in this space, and then we know how Chicago is, right? Everybody knows you, regardless of whether or not they know you. And you have to constantly put that face on. And you are not worth, I mean, you got a little money in your account, but you're not worth the $100 million that her company was valued at. Okay. So I say that to say that you probably have a little bit more latitude to have a moment, right? And maybe all the cameras aren't recording it and putting you on blast. So it did just feel a little peculiar that she would take that moment to do that, knowing that you are kind of in the rare air right now, right? Like, you have a, multiple $1 million business that's incredibly successful. And you also, your name is in the news right now for some other things that aren't savory, and so it felt a lawsuit, that is alleging quite a bit, so it felt like very poor timing to make this kind of unforced error, but where I would like to kind of shift this, because I do want to get your feedback on it, but I also want to know is I feel like we live in a day and age where we expect a lot from celebrities, right? social media gives us the illusion that we know them, right? Social media gives us the illusion that we are their friends. Now, this gentleman just happened to actually know her. He like, sis, I know you. So even though she didn't remember him, that probably is why he felt a little more connected to her. But there are tons of people, and I know you get it all the time, right? Like they follow you, they consume all your content, they're big time fans, you inspire them. And so as a result, when they see you, they oftentimes can't separate their familiarity with you into understanding that this is not reciprocal, right? And through no fault of theirs or yours, just you follow me, I don't follow you, right? You're seeing my content, I'm not seeing your content. So this is not a two-way conversation, right? You could be very into me and I did not know you existed before I met you right now, but they're still going to approach you with that level of familiarity. And it's almost like you have a choice at that point, right? Do you pretend, or, do you put on the face and perform? Or are you able to just kind of expect or desire or request some boundaries? Because I do feel like we are in this space nowadays where people don't acknowledge or respect boundaries when it comes to celebrities because they feel like they deserve that access. So I kind of also want to get your thoughts on that. When people approach you and it feels like they feel that they are entitled to access to you.
Honestly, my feeling to that, and it has happened several times, is that means I'm doing the right thing.
Okay.
If you feel you can approach me like you know me, we have, friends in common, or I'm supposed to remember you from kindergarten. The point that you feel that compelled to come up to me and mention names and say who you know and how we met, and you're coming up really genuinely, even if it's awkward. I respect that. That means I'm doing the right thing. And even prior to that, that means that, okay, I take it even a step further. You actually made the effort, whether it's driving 10 minutes, 3 hours to come see me. You came up to me and wanted to acknowledge me, wanted to have a conversation, wanted to bring up who we know. That to me says you are really truly making an effort. You're really truly a fan, or you're really truly a supporter, or both. So I take that as a positive. Now, there's another piece that I also take that I think people were saying it in a negative light, and that was how close he came up to her. He didn't say hello.
Okay.
And he seemed, in some people's eyes, and this is just me reading several comments, that he seemed scary. So number one, if you look at the video, I'm not sure if it was in that one or if it was the longer form video, she did have security. So
okay.
That's number one. I just want to make sure that people know that. I know body language. Maybe that is just a special gift that I have, to know that he was either socially awkward, just awkward in general, or very mild-mannered, maybe as far as to say he was a very meek individual.
Okay.
But what I took from that was, I haven't seen you for 30 years. I want you to look into my eyes. I hope you can recognize me. I don't want to tell the world. I just want to say, hey, do you remember me from the 6th, 7th, 8th grade? Do you remember we hung out with such and such and such and such? He said it so softly.
Right.
So what I read from that, and again, I've been in these situations before. What I read from that is he wanted her to be like, oh, yes, I remember. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in such and such. Yes, I remember such and such. And yep, oh God, we hung out. That's what he wanted. That's why his tone was very soft. That's why he was looking directly into her eyes. That's why he was so close, because he wanted to spark a memory. So I don't buy it that she was scared. I don't buy it. Now I cannot tell you someone's feelings. I cannot guarantee that. I don't know for sure, but that is just not, because this is my other thing. This is what to me proves that no, you weren't scared. If you were scared, you would never have broadcasted to the rest of the audience to embarrass him. Because if you're scared of this individual and you broadcast and embarrass him in front of these hundreds of people, wouldn't you be more concerned of how he would react to the embarrassment? If you were so scared,
he might put them paws on you.
He might put them paws on you. And if you were so scared, wouldn't you have turned to security and said, get him away from me, if you were so scared? So the first two things that entered my mind is either A, you completely remember who he is, and maybe he triggered something, a not so good memory from that age. Maybe you had a crush on him and he didn't like you. Maybe he was just maybe he was mean. Maybe he was a bully. I know, if I think back to my childhood, of some people that currently approach me now, like, oh my God, yeah, Krishan was my best friend and all that bullshit. You treated me like shit back then. So like, what are you talking about? We're not, what do you mean? Like, oh, we went to school together. Oh my God. You didn't pay me not 1 ounce of attention back then. You actually talked about me.
Okay.
So
you said some people kind of have that revisionist, history where they remember it more flowery than you remember it. They might have actually left some deposits of trauma that you remember quite profoundly, and now they kind of want to whitewash it. Like, oh girl, hey, how you doing? And it's like, nigga, I'm low key on sight. You know what I'm saying? Like, you this close, I almost dove on you, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, oh, I remember how you treated me. I remember.
Right.
So now, mind you, again, this is speculation, but however you look at it, whatever you say, good, bad, ugly, indifferent from either side, what should not have happened, should not have been a broadcasting of, hey, everybody, did you hear what he said? That's where we go wrong.
Okay.
You could have felt a certain way. You could feel that what he did was wrong, how he approached you was wrong. You could feel awkward. You could have been so tired and up for so long, and all that. You can give me a million excuses, which are tools of incompetence built on monuments of nothingness. However, the automatic response of, hey, everybody, that is one thing that I could never do and I cannot condone. And that's embarrassing anybody in front of other people and broadcasting something that someone said with a quiet tone to you. That's just there's absolutely no reason to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Period.
And I know you and I we've spoken about it on a live that we had done on TikTok. And okay, so to take it from another angle, do you think that she was aware of what she was doing or how it was coming across when she did it? Like, was it one of those situations where, how sometimes people, like you kind of alluded to it a moment ago, how just the awareness that you have a higher EQ, you have more emotional intelligence than most people, especially just having worked in service industries, and working with the public. So you kind of, you have that elevated EQ, whereas some people, they just really don't, you know what I mean? And they may not intend to come off harsh, but they just have a very a very brash way about them, almost like how New Yorkers can be sometimes. And no shade to New Yorkers, y'all know I love you, but how sometimes New Yorkers can come so aggressive and kind of in your face that if you aren't from New York or if you're not accustomed to that energy, it can feel almost combative. And in their mind, they're like, oh no, so I was just joking, or they might have actually been trying to show you love, but it just comes across as aggression, and it's one of those things where it's like, if it's recorded and it's taken out of context, then, anybody can kind of twist and contort it. And in her mind, she thought she was being playful, right? It's like, oh no, I was just jonesing them. And it's like, yeah, but not that way? You know, do you think it may have been one of those things, you know, or do you think that may have even just been symptomatic of just kind of how she is a little bit, right? Like maybe not even intending to embarrass him, but just is not the type that uses delicate gloves at all, you know, to
When
whereas
you get
she is the type that she just kind of moves and shakes. She don't have time to worry about your feelings, and that just happened to be one of the times that the camera caught it and exacerbated it in a way to whereas we're like, oh God, is she like the mean girl?
so that's when either way, whether it was intentional or not intentional,
Mm-hmm.
when you get to that caliber, in my opinion, that's when you have a team to tell you otherwise. That's when you
Okay.
have a PR team, a marketing team. You have someone on your team saying, "Hey, so love you, love the company. We know what this is, and we're going to take it to the top." However, you may not be the type of CEO that we want to be
In front of the
in
public
the
like this.
front of the public.
Yeah, so I don't think that you are the one that we probably need. You know, I
And
know
that's
it's your
okay.
company and all, but yeah, nah, you know,
But
we've had a
understand,
conversation.
publicists have these type of conversations with their
Right.
clients, right? There are
Mm,
classes, there are media training, there's all types of CEO training
mm,
to avoid situations like
okay.
this. And there's also self-awareness, right?
Okay.
There's certain things I know I am not good at, that I'm self-aware that, you know what, nope, take me out. Or, okay, you know what, I need to step away.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain moments that I just like, yep, nope, this is not me. And there's other, I'm like, put me in the ring. Yes, I am the
Mm-hmm.
CEO to be in this position. I know I am the CEO to go on TV. I'm the one that's great on radio. I'm the one to put in the public light because, to your point, I have done it for 20 plus years. I've been in sales. I've worked on Michigan Avenue. I've done all types of training, all types of public speaking. But even more so, I grew up in an environment that I knew how to read body language. So it definitely is, I think, a gift of some and not to others. So there's other CEOs that are brilliant at operations, brilliant at delegation, brilliant at some of the things that I suck at, right? That I mean, they know their numbers left and right. They're able to make decisions quickly when it comes to human resources and who should be on their team, who shouldn't. There are certain qualities that CEOs have that are good, and there's some that suck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have your team around you telling you about yourself, things like this can happen. And that's where I see the disconnect. And not just with, Fawn. I mean, this is happening. We see this happening with the administration now, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
people that can't say no because they're concerned to lose their job, maybe, right? And I'm not saying she's like that, but I don't know if there's someone in her corner to tell her, or maybe not today. Maybe get some rest today. Maybe not do the bottle signings today. Maybe take a break, take some time off. You got a lot going on. I just feel that either someone is dropping the ball, um, or she's just a mean girl.
Mm. Now, do you think that do you think that it's unfair at all in a sense of we judge her differently because she's a woman? Like, will we look at this situation differently if she was a man? Like, if it was a man that had $100 million company and that somebody like, let's take Diddy, right? Diddy
Mhm.
was the guy that, you know, he moved how he moved, and we never thought he was a nice guy. So when Diddy pulled up, if somebody came up and was like, "Hey, Diddy, man, you don't remember me, man, from fifth and sixth grade?" And he's like, "Man, nigga, don't nobody know you from fifth and sixth grade, bro. Man, do you know what I do?" Like, if that had a went to Shade Room, we be laughing like, yeah, man, look at that corny ass dude. Man, he dumb as hell. Of course, he don't know him. Why would you even approach Diddy like that? Like, if it's a dude, we understand the outrage that he feels in that moment, right? Because it's like, yeah, the audacity of somebody approaching a man that's worth $100 million and got things to do. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if Diddy, like, I could see someone at Diddy's stature turning it into comedy, right? Because we live in social media where everybody's trying to snap, you know, everybody wants their viral moment. And I feel like we give allowances when it comes to men to be able to be an asshole, right? Because that's considered masculine behavior, you know, like that's one of the reasons why everybody supposedly loves Trump, because he's anti-woke, right? What did JD say? Man, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore, right? Like, that's essentially what they're talking about. You don't have to apologize. But when you're black, and furthermore, a black woman, you have to be very ingratiating to everybody, right? Like, you don't get those same allowances to have fun. You don't get those same allowances to be able to have a moment where maybe, you know, you aren't docile and nice and eloquent, you know what I'm saying? Like, is a part of our judgment that she did not fit the narrow confines of femininity, right? And what we expect from a woman, regardless of whether or not they're a leader or not. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Do I think that a man would have gotten away with it and it got left off? Absolutely, but that doesn't make it right. Still, at the end of the day, we're dealt with the cards that we have. I can't change that I'm a black woman. So there's going to be certain expectations of me versus a man. There's going to be certain expectations of me as a woman versus a man. And being a black woman versus a man, yes, there's going to be situations that we're going to get in way more trouble, if you will, in something we say and do. Right now, in these situations, in these moments, does it make it right? I'm not going to embarrass someone and then say, hey, but a man would have got away with it, so then I'm straight. Like, that is even like, what?
You only said nothing to Diddy.
Right,
when
right.
Suge Knight did it, you was cool with it.
It's still wrong. I'm still the person that says, well, no, actually, when Diddy did it, that's not funny. Or when such and such, no, actually, no, that's still wrong. You're not, this is human beings here. Like, I don't look at it as a man-woman situation. I look at it as human beings, and embarrassing someone. And regardless, I don't care what people say about, like, oh, no, he wasn't embarrassed. How do you know he wasn't embarrassed? But it's still wrong.
Okay.
So I don't care, you know, like about like wrong is wrong.
Right. No, listen, I'm with you. Okay. So now I got something for you. Now you told me that you had not seen this yet. So I'm gonna share the video. We'll watch the video together.
Oh, Lord.
And then from there, we will I wanna as we're talking about not only celebrities, but just even in general, like important people, you know what I mean? Whether they be celebrities, whether they be, you know, business owners, but that are interacting with the general public and just kind of, you know, this new landscape that we find ourselves in. So I want to have you check this video out.
Get the video. Get the video of this. Tracy Morgan. Oh, Tracy. What? Hey, what did I just say?
Wait. What did you say?
Nah. Bro,
what did you just say?
Tracy, my boy out here.
Hold on. Put your camera down. What did you say?
Never let the gentleman right here roll the tray.
It's Tracy Morgan.
Not Tracy Morgan.
What's Tracy Morgan?
Tracy, my boy.
What does that mean?
I don't know. My boy said Tracy. Post around, nigga.
I'm not talking to you, homie. I don't need you to tell me.
Whatever.
I'm trying to understand. I'm asking you a question. I ain't calling you out. What's the problem? You got a problem being asked a question? And I don't understand. I don't know what that means either. That's why I'm asking you what it means. That's the only way I can understand by asking questions. So I was taking a picture to show you love, but you were trying to be funny. So what you mean, Tracy, my boy? What that mean?
Everyone's saying Tracy, so I'm saying Tracy.
I ain't hear nobody say Tracy. You don't want to say
Tracy.
Don't play stupid either with your man if you talk about Tracy. All that I don't know what y'all doing. Control for the camera.
Yo, what happened? What?
All right. So, you know, for context, because I actually do have another video where you kind of heard a little bit better. Okay. Let me just let you watch a little bit of this other video, because there was some things that got said that somebody from another angle kind of just really caught the crux of it. Okay, because you at least got to hear this one part, because Buster was really on some Buster shit at this point. It was just like, yo, like, okay, my man is not playing with him. So okay, just hear the first portion of this one right here.
Understand, it's a respect thing. See, y'all, I don't want your sorry. I just want you to understand. Don't play with people you don't know. You can't control it. I can't just give you the picture. You want to troll the camera? I swear I was not trying to troll.
I don't know if you can hear that.
Not nobody's fucking nigga. Shh. I ain't nobody nigga.
Okay. So the basic gist of it was just him letting dude know, you know, you will get hurt, little nigga. You know, like that's kind of how Buster is or whatever. But it's you know what I mean? Like, so for context, that's at Art Basel. That is the art fest, the arts and entertainment fest that happens in Miami. And it's one of those things where it's like when it first started, like a decade and some change back, it was like the elite, it was high end, you know what I mean? And not that it's not elite anymore, but now that it's become a little bit more popular, you know, thanks to social media. And now that social media is more universal and everybody's clout chasing, everybody's down there hoping to run into a celebrity. And so you remember back in the day, man, we would kind of honor and respect the celebrities, right? Because for one, we didn't really get access to them like that. We didn't really get to see them like that. You know, we did not get intimate, you know, up close, all in their business, 24/7, you know, interactions with them. And so in many cases, to see them, it was almost like seeing someone that you only get to see on TV. But now, because like I said a moment ago, we live with them every day. If you follow them and you feel so comfortable, you know, there is this air of familiarity with them. And in that particular situation, that was someone that whether or not he knew that was Buster, because that's some of the conversation that I see is whether or not people thought that A, was it an honest mistake? You know, B, you know, he said that someone else told him that he was Tracy Morgan. And I don't know if you saw that first video. It pointed to the guy that was sitting behind him, and he was called the Funny Salesman. So I don't know if you ever seen that guy, but he's, you know, kind of popular. But he used to do this thing where he's got this some little spray where he says that it can clean off anything, and he would go door to door and sell this spray. But he had a whole spiel that he would tell people. He talks real fast, but he uses a lot of, it's almost like stand up, you know? And so he's grown throughout the years. And then he did the same thing with Kevin Hart. I've seen him do it with a couple of other celebrities, you know, where I think it's just a part of a grift that they know when they all kind of play along. But I think that he set the white influencer up. Now, whether or not he told him, hey, that's Tracy Morgan, and dude was like, oh, okay, cool, and went over there innocently, or if he told him, hey, go over there and be like, hey, what's up, Tracy Morgan? That'll be funny. You know, you're a trend. Either way, Buster didn't think it was funny. Okay. And as you saw,
obviously, obviously, he did not think it was funny.
He handled it expeditiously, right? So, like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel about that?
So, okay, so I have a few thoughts, but what
Okay.
came to mind immediately was I'm going to say his name wrong. What is that influencer young black guy? Is it K not?
I think I know who you're
K,
talking about.
K,
Yeah, I can't
the,
recall.
okay, so really, really popular. And if I'm not mistaken, he just recently
Oh, wait a
hosted an
minute. Oh,
award.
Case or not? You talking about him?
Yeah,
Oh, Case
Case
or
not.
not. I'm sorry.
Yes, Case not. So Case
Mm-hmm.
not. So if I
Or
remember the story
Kai Sanat.
correctly, Kai Sanat, right.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, he just recently, or vaguely, fairly recently, hosted an award ceremony. Was it BT Awards or some
Yes.
awards?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it went viral that he didn't know most of the old school celebrities.
The
He
old
didn't.
niggas. You
The
can call
old,
them what it is.
right,
The old niggas,
right.
right?
He had no idea who they were, and to the point that it came off disrespectful. Kind of like I don't know who he is. I don't know. I don't know. It came off disrespectful. And so I remember it was a big conversation about paying homage and having respect to the people that paved the way, right? Knowing the older celebrities, especially if you're in an environment where you're hosting. The very least you can do is research these celebrities so you know
Okay.
who's in the house, right? Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, I forgot who he didn't know, but it was somebody like Wale, I think. I think he didn't know Wale.
Yeah. But that actually happened before he was hosting.
Okay.
That happened when, like, I think he was walking to his car, and Wale just
Right.
approached him on some like,
Right.
"Oh, what's up?" And he kind of, he dapped him up and just kind of kept it moving. But then while
Right.
on stream, he was like, "Yeah, man, who was that?" And he was like, "Man, that's Wale. Who? Whaley?" Or he couldn't get his name right a couple of times.
Right.
And so when it
Right.
got back to Wale, he's sensitive and shit, right? So
Right. Right. Very sensitive.
Wale don't take kind
So
to
no,
people
no.
not knowing who he
So
is because of Lotus Flower Bomb that dropped over a
exactly
decade
right.
ago. But okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So this is where I'm going with this. Okay. So two scenarios. If that comedian guy set up that white kid, that was hella wrong.
Mm,
Hella wrong. It was literally just throwing him to the wolves. And
literally.
you don't mess with a New York cat like that. Like that was just throwing him to the wolves, and that was wrong. If it was meant to come across funny, again, you have no idea who you effing with, so that
Mm,
is just wrong. So I don't find it funny, nor I'm gonna flip it onto the other side. Busta's reaction. I still go on, with the same philosophy that I have for Fawn, with the same philosophy that I have in general for celebrities. Yes, we have a bad day. Yes,
hmm
he that was ignorant and it was rude, but he didn't have to go into a whole soliloquy about the ignorance. Like it was too long. It dang near like I felt like it was an old person lecturing a young person, right? Like
Oh,
when
it
your
totally was.
grandparents used to, they wouldn't stop. Like just okay already. Like I did something wrong. Let me apologize. Let me move on, right? But no, you just gotta keep going. And then it's like, okay, now you're not doing this for the kid. You're doing it for everyone else around the kid too.
Hmm Yeah,
So
right, right. Yes.
if you want to let him have it, pull him to the side, talk to him like a man, set him straight, let him turn whiter than he was, and let him go about his day. But now you're performing. So the performance of it is coming across like you really wasn't
Okay.
trying to teach him a lesson.
So
You
so
trying to do something like you
but
doing too
okay,
much.
okay. So you make a good point, right? Which is a fun point because you say he wasn't doing it for the kid, he was doing it for the people around him. I think he was
Absolutely.
also doing it for the internet. He was letting people know,
Right.
I will break you. Just say similar to like the Chris Rock Will Smith thing. Will Smith
Right.
didn't slap Chris Rock for Chris Rock, like a little bit, but he slapped Chris Rock for every other Chris Rock that keep his wife's name in their mouth. And he
Absolutely.
pretty much put a signal out to everybody to let them know, hey, keep making her the subject of your content and your material. If I see you, I might slap you. And the reality of it is we talk shit. People are like, well, he wouldn't have done that if it was The Rock. Well, two things. One, Rock wouldn't have done that, you know what I'm saying? Because Rock is not a comedian. He don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? Possibly not. However, Will Smith is still bigger than probably 85% of niggas that's walking around out here. The majority of these podcasting niggas, Will Smith will put the pause on him. This was Ali, okay? And he still works out and trains every day. So are you sure you want to keep talking about Jada Pinkett Smith if this dude is comfortable with slapping the shit out of Chris Rock in front of everybody? What do you think he gonna do to you when he see you randomly at the club? You know what I mean? He had to send a message out there to everyone, right? Like sometimes you have to make an example out of people, right? Because it's like, you know, and it was funny because, you know, a cousin of mine who's a comedian, it was interesting getting his take and just me and him going back and forth, you know, and like he felt similar to how you felt, you know, which was that okay, so he actually said two things that I thought was fascinating. The first thing he said was that he didn't think it was that serious, you know. He said, man, listen, first off, there's a good possibility the kid did not know you, right? Like you are not a part of this kid's generation. So there's that. He said, two, everybody else, right, that's surrounding him, he was like, they, you know, that's your core audience. So you don't want to turn into the person that can't take a joke, because then you're gonna stop getting the calls, right? Like you know, when the podcasters and all of the content creators stop calling you, then them checks are gonna dry up. You know what I'm saying? So he had a couple, and then he was like three. He was like, bro, this is the realm that we are in now. You know what I mean? He was like, this is what 2025 and 2026 is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're gonna allow yourself to get agitated by this, basically what he was telling me was be prepared to be agitated all the time, because this is the space that we're in. And so I do agree with his sentiments. You know, my cousin is a stand-up comedian. He's pretty successful. So I kind of did lean in and acquiesce to just certain even just relationships and things that he deals with while he's out, you know, touring and things of that nature. But I also told him, I was like, you know, I said, I feel you. I was like, but you also have to acknowledge that we live in a day and age where people are getting very comfortable with disrespect. They feel very entitled, you know, and I think a part of it also deals with this administration, right? Like people feel emboldened that you would have never 15, 20 years ago stepped up to any large black man and decided to just have jokes and shit. Like, okay, considering that it wasn't innocent. If it was innocent, that's one thing. But let's say it's not innocent. Then I can understand Busta being in that space where it's like, nah, let me let people know how real it is, right? Because here's the reality of it is, the only thing that probably protected that young man is the fact that he was at Art Basel, surrounded by a lot of other people. Try to do that shit off of the strip somewhere, right? When a whole bunch of cameras ain't coming up and you just try to roll up on somebody and Busta got a whole crew, he would have got his ass stomped out, right? And you know, you would have had a hard time trying to prove that it really was Busta, trying to see if anybody had a camera. You know, it's like people are getting very comfortable with disrespecting these individuals as if they're not humans. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I understand that some individuals will say like, well, that's a part of the game. But I'm also not against every once in a while, like pulling people in and letting them know that this is where I draw the line, right? So I'm not going to put the pause on you right now, but I need you to understand that I'm not the one to try this with. And I also know that people are recording this. So if this goes out there, I'm going to make you a cautionary tale so that every other person that decides that they want to turn me into their next clickbait, you might get more than what you bargained for, because I might let you slide right there, but I'm gonna have my mans follow you around the corner. And then you're gonna get that ass whooped, right? Because I told everybody, I put y'all on notice that I ain't one of them, I ain't the one, basically.
And let's touch on the generational differences here, right?
Right, because that's really what it is.
Our generation, if that happened, the response from everyone would have easily been, Yeah, Buster, tell him. Tell him.
Mm, mm,
Tell him about himself. You don't disrespect me like that. You don't disrespect nobody like that. I'm from New York. Okay.
right.
This is a different generation. So in this generation, that is not going to age well.
Mm,
Their automatic thing is, who's this old man, number one? Oh, okay. So he hasn't rapped since when? Okay, so he's just some old man acting crazy. They're not going to process, oh my God, he's a legend. That's not
mm,
what they're thinking. That's not what they're
mhm,
thinking. And they will drop someone in a the attention span is of a gnat at this point in this day and age with social media in these generations. So with the older generation, me being one of them, we have to say, hey, is this going to age well? Is this even worth it? So what we feel that this generation is thinking, doing, acting, they're idiots or not, whatever we think in our mind, right? Or they don't read, they just scroll through TikTok, whatever that is, however our reaction happens to be, it's most likely going to get recorded.
mm,
And it's
right.
not going to age well. And I
Right.
see that with everything we've discussed tonight, right?
Mm.
Nicki Minaj's fireside chat at Turning Point is
That's what you
going
call it.
to age well.
I guess technically that was a fireside
Her
chat, man.
fireside chat is
That
not going
was
to age
reckless.
well. Fawn's bottle signing interaction with someone who went to sixth, seventh, eighth grade with her is not going to age well.
Mm,
Busta's interaction with this kid, whether it be a joke or whether that kid was dead serious, is not going to age well. So I just say that to say, if you're in the public eye, I'm sorry, this is what comes with it. Your celebritas comes with good and bad, but it also comes with certain things that just might not age well. And out of all three of these situations, we still have a few that still need to be resolved. But the one we know is Nikki took down that Instagram now, didn't she?
mm, mm. That's that. That's more than just a cautionary tale, right? That's on some levels, and I hate to say it like this because it might sound just weird, but it's almost inspiring, right? Because essentially to me, her taking that down means that, okay, you guys are not above reproach and above consequences. Because I'm telling you, man, sometimes it feels like we are living in topsy-turvy world. I remember back in the day, bad publicity was catastrophic. That's essentially why you had PR. You had PR so that they can get ahead of a story, so that they could spin it, so that they could, do damage control and teach you how to be more media friendly. But now it seems like the controversy and the chaos is actually what creates the success. And so it feels like we're in bizarro world right now where, again, talking about Kanye, a few times because I don't think it was strategy in the early stages. I think that that's just genuinely who Kanye is. He's always been someone that probably just has moments, outburst, and it probably got him in trouble at school sometimes. Or for all I know, it could have always been successful on some level in his life. But, you hear all of these stories since even before he got on, they tell stories of how when he was trying to get a record deal and they would bring him in, like this is after he was already making money with Rockefeller, but they was shopping his album and they would bring him in to like certain record labels and, be like, oh yeah, well just show us what you got. And Kanye would jump on the table and start rapping and just be over the top. Like he's always been this bizarre type of person. So maybe it's always worked for him. But I know that in every time it happened in the early stages, from George Bush doesn't like black people to, Beyonce made the greatest album of all time. Like each one of these things we thought were cancelable offenses. Back in the 80s and the 90s and things of that nature, he would have gotten blackballed. right?
Easy.
But what ended up happening in this new world was the controversy helped him sell records. It helped to make him, relevant. It kept him into relevancy. And I feel like everybody is doing that now. And so attention being this new drug, that's where everybody is at. And it's so crazy because I was just talking to my wife about this recently. Let's like I'm even seeing this happen on the political and activist end, where like certain activists that I would highly respect, I'm seeing them straight lose it now. And to me, certain ones, I ain't even gonna say their name because I'm not trying to, first of all, I don't like dogging black women if I could prevent it, doing so. But there's one in particular, man, that I used to be really fond of that I have been watching literally go off the deep end. She cannot keep former President Obama out of her mouth. It don't matter what's happening with this administration. Somehow she figures out a way to make her content about Obama and what he's done for black people. And you say to yourself, like, what is happening? Like, what acts do you have to grind with this man that has not been the president for 8 years? Like, can we get off of it, right? And you say to yourself, like, what is her gripe with this man? And then it dawned on me. It's because every time that she goes there, her shit spikes. She doesn't make it on Shade Room until she's talking shit about Obama. So it's like, why am I going to talk shit about Trump when everybody else is talking shit about Trump? It's the Candace Owens play, right? If I go against the grain, then this gets me the attention. I see the uptick in my, mentions, and then all my other stuff starts to get money, right? Because not only am I getting paid off of the content, but then the people that are a part of my team, the people that are part of my code, they start going in and supporting a little bit more. Everybody taps in because they feel the need to defend me. But then the other people, like, think about it. Most content that takes off only takes off because of the conflict. So it's like if everybody is in agreement, then they're like, oh, yep, that's good. They keep it scrolling. But the moment that you get some people to argue in that comment section, that's when it takes off, right? And so I think what ends up happening is on some level, if you're not careful, the algorithm can turn you into Pavlov's dog, where, oh, I'm trending right now. I'm getting more money every time I do this thing. And so before it was an accident, but then you notice that every time I do that, I get something good from it. And so before you know it, you're unconsciously looking for hot takes because the hot takes is what makes me trend. And so once again, this activist that I highly respected at one point has been going off the deep end because I think that when she's doing her normal thing, it ain't kicking the way that she wants it to kick. And she like, what am I gonna do, man? I need to get some niggas' attention. Obama. Yeah, man. So what Obama done for black people? And then it's like, boom, up Shade Room is, she knows the buttons to push to get the reaction that she wants. And that's why I'm like, we're literally living in a grifting society right now where everybody's grifting because they recognize that when they grift, I get attention. Like right now, like we didn't promote it. I'm not doing this thing with, blackdoctor.org until the new year. So we just hopped on and was like, we gonna have our session. If I start talking crazy right now, the few viewers that we got right now across these channels are gonna be like, man, Ike is wild. They're gonna start sharing it with their friends, right? And you're gonna look up and we're gonna have like 1,000 people on this live. If I start showing my ass, if I do something insane right now, we will start seeing people all of a sudden tap in, right? And it's like, so if you're the person that desperately wants success and that is the recipe, this is what everybody's doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to these situations like Busta or anyone, I guess the question that I have sometimes or that I try to figure out is like, okay, how far do we go with this? How far are we going to allow it to go? Because I'm trying to think, what would I do if I was in Busta's position? Because again, these people can't afford to have a bad moment. You out there drinking and shit like everybody else. And now to your point, you are right, man. Maybe you should have, security. But then if you got security and you all locked up, then people to be, oh, see, he unapproachable. Oh, you can't even come and talk to Buster like Beyonce. That's why Beyonce don't come out and intermingle with the public, because she realized y'all don't deserve her. Every time she come out, y'all gonna do something crazy, right? Is as much incredible content as this woman has given us over the past couple of decades. Someone is gonna see Beyonce, and if she isn't shrouded in security, they gonna look to do something crazy for the infamous moment, right? And this is the world that we live in now, because they're not afraid of just the ass whooping. They'll take that ass whooping, but they'll go down in history as, yeah, I'm the one that came up and slapped Beyonce on the butt, or just something absurd. So
Which
that's
is
why
that
they
just
like,
happened with
I can't even hang with the commoners.
what's her Ariana Grande, right? That just happened with her, with the guy who came up to her.
Yep,
So,
sure
it's
did.
one of those things where it's the life you chose, right?
But is it
Or
though?
or
Is it?
or it chose you. So you kind of have to
I don't know
definitely
if I
just
agree with that. I
function
don't know if I agree with
accordingly.
that.
You have to
I don't know
function
if I
accordingly.
agree with that.
Well, then,
Because
you
to me that means we'll just deal with it, right? Like that to me, that's the same argument and say, well, guys, boys are gonna be boys. So just deal with these guys pinching you on the ass, because that's you shouldn't have worn that dress, right?
okay.
Like,
So
it's like,
what's
nah,
the alternative of being a celebrity? That
whooping
means you're in the
ass.
public eye. So you're gonna be a celebrity. You're gonna whoop ass, and then next thing you know, you're going to be obsolete. No, nobody's good. They're going to talk about you, and then you go away. But no,
But why
you know
should that
what? But
why should that be um the decision that has to get made, right? If I
I
am not
mean,
willing to be violated, then I can't perform for people, right?
this is every like
I can't live in my space of doing the thing that makes me feel alive if I'm not willing to allow nobody's abuse me. That to
I
me
mean, we
feels,
can go
that's how
down every
Princess
like
died. But that Diana
we
died.
can
Like,
go
no, I
down
don't think.
every like Shakespeare like play. Like I'm like what are we talking about? So at the end of the day, it is what it is. And the celebritas, there is a price to pay. I'm sorry, there is. Just like money doesn't make you happy. Just like the more money you have, all it does is bring out the best and the worst of people. Like there's many
This is a
things we can
fact.
talk about. But now this is the one thing though that you mentioned, and actually I mentioned this on TikTok today. I did a video on it. I really honestly think that people are just posting stuff just to monetize at this point, because I've seen some
Mm.
just asinine, crazy sentences that there's no way you think like that. I mean, I said it even to a point where some people that are putting up certain things like, I'm never going to hang with you ever again. And if I see you in public, I'm walking the other way, because you actually posted that. And
Mm.
then I also said on that same post, or maybe not, maybe I'm going to go up to that person and say, did you really mean to post what you just posted? So
Mm.
recently, someone posted about the Dave Chappelle special,
Oh,
and
okay. Is that where we're going now?
that's where we're going.
Okay. All
So
right.
they literally posted like something so stupid, like, oh, I think Dave is just obsessed with trans.
Mm.
Like just something
Okay.
so dumb, right?
Hmm.
So I never comment on posts like that. Never, never, never. I promise you, if nobody ever can say I post on stuff like that. But this one I had to. I said, huh? With 3 question marks. At this point, I think people are just posting to monetize, because there's
Mm.
absolutely no way you got that out of that special. And that's all I said.
Well, okay. So there's a gentleman that I follow, and he's probably could be considered far left. Um, and he's an angry guy, right? Like, his one of his handles is like something hates media or whatever. So when you see him, this is not a love page. This is him talking shit about the things that he doesn't like. But like I said, he's far left, and he's very progressive in his ideals and his beliefs, And so while I do like him, I don't always agree with all of his stances. But I like to have a healthy balance of thought, provoking thought leaders in my feed, just even sometimes to challenge my thought process. And so he was one of those people that believe that Dave in many cases was kind of punching down, and that he continues to have this insistence in talking about this marginalized community, and while I may not have felt that he was being mean spirited, I do know that it's intentional that he continues to bring it up. I'll put it like that, right? Um, it's intentional. Now, how a person feels about that, I give them the liberty to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? You should have the ability to be able to feel how you want to feel in in any type of way. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to not like a joke. It's okay to be bothered by it, to feel that your feathers are ruffled by it, you know. And so I like to give people that liberty on a personal level to do that. But I do know that it is intentional, because anybody else would have moved beyond it. But I know that a piece of this is still either him trying to make a point, or him feeling like I have an axe to grind because of the fact that you all legitimately tried to cancel me. And so now I'm going to keep pushing my thumb in your eye just to say, you're not going to get me to shut up. And whether or not you agree with that is, again, everybody has the ability to be able to, feel how they want to about that. But I don't think that he's really just obsessed with trans jokes. I think that he told some in one special, got that huge backlash, and he's had a bit of an axe to grind from that point forward. Because while I, thought it was creative how he wove it in, it wasn't necessarily essential to me inside of that particular set. You know what I'm saying? Everything else that you're talking about. And it's like, I know that that was intentional. He probably sat up there and said, how can I weave another trans joke up in here to fuck with them?
100%.
And
100%.
I could be wrong, but that is my belief about him with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And
totally. Totally
so
agree. And
what was your take? What was your take on the Dave Chappelle?
so I have to give some very tiny history that
Okay.
so I went to at FIT in New York, so the Fashion Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And when I was there in 1994, Dave Chappelle was doing stand up at FIT. So the first time I ever saw Dave perform was literally in the basement of the little dorm room at the Fashion Institute in New York. And he was brilliant then. I'm talking like maybe there was no more than 20 of us down there. And actually, I took a picture. So one of our episodes, I'll show the picture of me and Dave together. So then I would say it had to have been about 2 years ago, maybe a little less than that. I had the honor of having Love Corkscrew Wine backstage when he did the stand-up here in Chicago. A brilliant show. I had great seats. I had the wine backstage with Chef Ken Polk, who had provided
I saw
all
that
the food.
BS.
Yes. So that was that was an unbelievable
I'm hating.
experience. I know. It was an unbelievable experience, and it was a phenomenal show. So and I will say I've seen every single Dave show. So let's go to this recent one. I cannot express how brilliant that was. He, in my opinion, is not only a brilliant comedian, but one of the best storytellers of all time. He showed that in the Dave Chappelle show. Just with some of the classics from Rick James to Prince. He is one of the most amazing storytellers. I have a very good attention span, I would say, when it comes to a great storyteller, and I couldn't take my eyes off of this episode. When he said this was going to be a long close, I knew it was going to be extremely long, especially when he says it's the longest, because again, I am a Dave fan, so I've seen his show, so I know how he closes. So I was ready. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And while he was closing, even going on to the Jack Johnson story, the Mann Act, John McCain, every piece that he was saying and telling, I knew was going to come together at the end. And what makes him so brilliant is not only can he story tell like no other and bring it all back together, but he teaches you along the way. I look back at the Dave Chappelle show and just the things he would teach me then, my younger self, whether it be music, whether it be how to tell a story, the way that his punchlines, because I'm not a slapstick fan. So it was just, I've always been into intellectual comedy. So I say all that to say, afterwards, it left me wanting to learn more about the Mann Act. I was just taken aback with Stevie Wonder and the situation of going to John McCain's funeral. There's just so many pieces. Even though I may not find him going and performing at Saudi Arabia my favorite thing that he's done, I still understand why he did what he did and where he's at. I didn't know that Puffy was the one who jumped on the guy when he got attacked. So there's just so many lessons that I think he tells, but I just think he's the most brilliant comedian of our generation.
Was there any part of the special that made you feel uncomfortable?
All of it. And that's what I love about Dave.
Mm.
He will always make you feel uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that. And the reason why I'm okay with that is just my personal story of always being uncomfortable. I've been uncomfortable since a child. I've been uncomfortable how I grew up. I've been uncomfortable in the industry I currently in. I was uncomfortable when I was in high-end retail. I've always been uncomfortable. So it's one of those things where I'm always been the one who, even to you as my best friend, certain things I say to you that you're like, oh my gosh, she just said that. But I'm like, yeah, but you were thinking it, weren't you? Like, I've always been that individual to be thinking something like, wait a minute, I know everybody thinking what I'm thinking right now. I'm just going to be the only one to say it. God, I'm going to say it. So that's what makes him so brilliant. I think comedy is supposed to make you uncomfortable.
Okay.
That's maybe why I'm not a slapstick fan,
Mhm.
so, because that's just to me obvious. That's why I was a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. That's why I
Mhm.
was a fan of I can't think of it, the guy who created Blackish, but he had his own show.
All right.
But I was
Barris, what's his name?
can't think of it. It's like
Kenyon? It started with a K.
yeah, Kenya,
Barris.
Kenya.
Yeah, Kenya
Yes.
Barris.
Yeah, yes. I thought that
Yeah.
was a brilliant show. So
Mhm.
I'm the Jerry, Seinfeld. So I'm into sarcasm. I'm into the Curb Your Enthusiasm. You really don't laugh until afterwards, or you're just like, wait, what just happened? Like that's not something, not an immediate laugh. You're like, wait, no, that did not. No,
Mhm.
that's the kind of humor I
A
like.
little subtle
Anyway,
absurdity that happens,
love it,
but
love it,
yeah.
love it,
Yeah, a
love
lot
it.
of other
So
well, and with Curb Your Enthusiasm, uh it's very well written in a sense of the way that they set the jokes up, right? Because
yes,
sometimes they'll plant little seeds at the beginning of the episode that seem like non sequiturs, like, oh yeah, we can just move past this, and then all of a sudden it blows up
oh,
into something, and you're just like,
yes.
okay. And it's always this absurd scenario where Larry finds himself in this weird space, and you're like, how did I get here? But you see, it looks irrational when he gets there, but you understand how he was making each decision that led him to that space. And that to me, I think is what the brilliance of Curb Your Enthusiasm is. If you allow yourself to get into it, is yes, it's hijinks, even for people that like slapstick, but it's gradual. Like you actually do have to pay attention to it.
You have to pay
Now,
attention, and that's what I think Dave is.
oh, without question, because I was telling that to my wife, like you can't. Okay. because I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I will say when it comes to the special, you can't really absorb it and be on your phone at the same time. You're gonna miss something, right? You're gonna miss something. There's a lot that can be said about the special, and I've watched it twice. Um, when I first saw it, I gave it like a B minus. Seeing it again, I'm somewhere vacillating between B and B plus. Um, Largely because I think I'm judging it off of it being a actual comedy special, right? And so when I think about a comedy special, I'm thinking about like laughs, punchlines. So like there are certain types of comedians, like if I go to a comedy show, I want to do a lot of laughing. And so one of the questions that I was going to ask you was whether or not you think that we should still be categorizing Dave as a comedian, because when you really think about it, especially towards that back end, you're right. Like you're learning. He's almost like a philosopher. It's almost like we're watching a lecture on many levels. And so, it's not even to downplay when he does have funny moments, but I'm wondering, are we forcing him into a compartment that he's actually evolved from? Now, it can still be entertaining. It can still be entertainment, but can we really classify it as comedy when in reality it is coming off more like think pieces, like a lecture, like not quite a TED talk? Like if I were to give a TED talk, an hour-long TED talk, me, I'm going to throw comedy in there. It's going to be jokes interwoven into this thing that I did, but it's a TED talk. Y'all not gonna be like, oh, we just went to a stand-up. You're gonna say we went to a TED talk, right? And they call it something different. You know, I don't know if we would call it a lecture, but I feel like when you go to Dave Chappelle's show nowadays, you don't go for the same thing that you would go to, say, like a Bill Burr, right? Like if I'm going to a comedy show, we drinking and we're gonna do some stuff afterwards. I'm probably more prone to lean into like Bill Burr. Like there's a lot of other comedians that I've really been following recently that I think are up and coming and hot, but it's nonstop jokes. Dave is gonna give you something different. And I'm not even downplaying that. I think it's great. But I feel like to call it comedy is not only downplaying and reducing what he's doing, but it's comparing him to his contemporaries. And they're really in different spaces a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because, like you say, yeah, he went through that long closing. And, we're talking about like Jack Johnson. I mean, and there'll be times where because he's just like naturally a humorous person, you'd laugh. But that last half an hour, he probably got 3-4 laughs. There was no belly aching, right? I'll watch a Bill Burr special and I might be tears in my eyes or whatever, right? Where you're like your stomach is hurting. That to me is what comedy is. He used to do that. His early stand-ups was that. Killing Them Softly, that was jokes, right? He's in a different space now. And he even said that towards the back end, right? He was like, my voice is becoming more popular or more powerful than I ever intended for it to become. And I think even he's acknowledging that. And I think that there's a weight that he's dealing with that we don't always recognize, because of the fact that not only are fans calling him the GOAT, but many of his contemporaries are calling him the GOAT. There's a popular story where Kevin Hart talks about how, him and Chris Rock were working out material at the Laugh Factory. Dave just happens to walk in on some, hey, how y'all doing? Oh, man, I'm going to probably go up for a little bit. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. And they had already worked out their material and took their notes or whatever and was giving each other, notes. They said that Dave went up there and about 20-30 minutes into this impromptu set, they both looked at one another and simultaneously balled up the paper that they was working on, like, yo, I gotta come harder, right? And so both of them acknowledge him as the GOAT. And so I'm like, when your contemporaries are calling you the GOAT, when everybody's calling you the GOAT, and I know Dave as a Virgo, right? We're perfectionists. And I'm like, I can't even imagine the kind of pressure that puts on him, because he's like, shit, people are expecting something from me, right? And so a moment ago when I was like, I think that even when he makes the trans jokes, that's intentional. I think it's because Dave is trying to navigate this space between who he is and who people want him to be, right? And so that's why even what he said, like, I don't want to be co-opted. I think that's what that meant on the back end. I don't want to be co-opted, and I need some kind of thing that if I say this thing, y'all gonna know that I've been co-opted, right? I think that's what that meant, is that he understands that I'm important to so many people in so many different spaces, because he's got friends of every persuasion, right? To the point where he felt uncomfortable talking shit about Puffy, because he knows I've rocked with him a lot over the years on a personal level. So while I can think these things over here are reprehensible, I don't want to be, a hypocrite. I've kicked it with him. I've been at his crib. You know what I'm saying? So it's like him trying to navigate this space, and it's I don't know, it's unique. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you, as you see like this particular title of this, I said Dave Chappelle, the pedestal problem, right? Is, because you've even just acknowledged that, yeah, man, it's like you're learning, and so I can acknowledge his brilliance, because one of the things that he does probably better than anyone, to be honest, probably legitimately better than any other comedian, is using silence.
Yes.
Dave uses silence. I remember Steve Harvey talking about how the greats know how to use silence to pull you in and to make you listen. And I remember him saying that, and it didn't fully resonate at the time, but it sounded deep. And ever since he said that, I started paying attention to when people use silence, because inside of communication, there's this fear of dead space. We're afraid of moments of pause. So it's got to be even social media. Social media is boom. Oh, it's too long. Oh man, you got to have the visual hook in the first 3 seconds, because if you don't catch them in 3 seconds, you're gonna lose them. They're gonna swipe to the next thing, right? Like, we live in a society where people will not allow something to breathe. I saw some people. I can't remember exactly who these two actors were, but they were pretty popular. And this one woman talked about how that they are creating movies now, specifically movies that like series and stuff like that, to be able to be watched passively, so that you can watch it in the background, because they know that you're going to be scrolling on your phone. So it can't be too in depth where you're going to miss something important, because they know you're going to be watching this while scrolling on your phone. So there's a bit of fluff that has to go into it, where they have to reduce the complexity of the storyline and the dialogue, because they know you're not paying attention, right? That's what the silver screen is for. Is if you're going to go to the movie theater, that's actually what Sinners was. Sinners was one of the theatrical movies that was made for you to view in the actual theater, locked in. And that's why some people, when they were like, yeah, Sinners was okay, they probably aren't people that saw it at the theater. They're people that watched it at the crib. You can't watch Sinners and be on your phone. You can't watch Dave Chappelle and be on your phone.
Absolutely
He does lock you in. And so I will
yes,
acknowledge
yes.
that alone does make him brilliant, that I locked in both cases. And that's why I was like, immediately I'll acknowledge my B or B plus rating may be unfair, because I'm judging him off of a comedy scale as opposed to something else, right? And so I guess that is what I'm trying to figure out is like, and then, every once in a while he likes to throw in like an absurd joke, a poop joke, or, when he told the Cassie joke about,
Right. The gargling. Yeah. Yeah.
which that was one of them that made me feel uncomfortable. That one was the one when he went through that whole segment. I'm like, oh, like, come on, bro. Like, don't do that. The second time I allowed myself to laugh at it because I was like, he's doing this on purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Like he doesn't want to fit in our box and be too politically correct because that's not who he is. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I think he's trying to navigate this space of like, well, what do I find funny? Well, what do I want to say? And it's like, yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, if I watch it a third time, I may even like it more then. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have these expectations, right? We come in and we have these expectations of what we want to see, and you expect it to be great. But you don't know what you're expecting. You know what I'm saying? And so
but that's the beauty of Dave Chappelle. So I saw it a little differently because of the lack of advertisement for this one.
Yeah, right.
I had zero expectations of what he was going to do. I just knew I was going to think it was great because I beyond respect him. So I knew it was going to be great, but I didn't go in thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be cracking up the entire time. I did not think that because my thought was the last one he did on Netflix, it was advertised heavily. I was at one of those shows, and that was in my opinion, I laughed the entire time. Like I was crying, laughing the entire time. So to me, it was advertised as such. I think he, at the level he's at, is yes, to the point that he can do whatever he wants to do when he wants to do it. But also I looked at, and this is just my philosophy on comedy, is when he said this was going to be a long close, I did not expect to be laughing during that close. I knew from his style, okay, that means really focus now.
He's about to go in.
Because he about to go in. So I actually was pretty much cracking up throughout. The Falcon was hilarious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was actually cracking up the whole time until the close. And it was almost
like shit. That close came like 20 minutes in. You know what I'm saying? It's like 25 minutes in. He like close. I'm like, nigga, close. What you?
I'm crying those 20 minutes though. But when he said close, I did that shift on the couch. Like, all right, let me get ready. And he said, this is going to be a long one. So that's when I like zoned in. Like, here he goes. Here he goes. So he gave me exactly what I needed from him in that moment of this surprise Netflix episode.
Okay.
Now, if he had advertised it like the last one, I could see what you're saying.
Because then you would have been anticipating something, and maybe it doesn't meet the expectation. But if you didn't know it was coming, it's like, damn, it's like, all right, this is gravy.
Right.
You playing with house money right now, nigga. I didn't even know this was coming. Okay.
I didn't know it was coming.
Right. Okay.
I saw some people commenting on social.
When did you see it? Did you see it the first day it came out?
The second day.
Okay. See, and that might have been my problem. I might not have been able to get around to seeing it until like maybe 3 days afterwards. So I found out about it. I found out about it watching the Bears game. My homie said something about it, like, "Oh man, we got the Jake Paul fight and Dave." And so then it was like Sunday. I might not have really gotten a chance to watch it till like Sunday evening. So that was enough time for me to be like, you know what I mean? Like
you had too much time to think about it.
Too much time to think about it.
Think about it.
Right. And
I just saw his back and saw the title. I was like, oh, I'm in.
Right.
I'm in.
Right. And honestly, and everything I just said is probably unfair because the expectation, and I think that's why I'm coming back to like the comedy thing. Like when I say comedy, I'm judging comedy off of how much I laugh, and he's in a different space, and it's not to diminish him. It's to say, no, you're somewhere special. And so I almost got to create a different lane for him, because if I don't
Yes, you do.
create that lane, then I'm judging him off of criteria that's unfair to him and unfair to his predecessors. Because here's one question I want to ask you. I feel like we give Dave liberties that we wouldn't give anybody else, right? Like,
Yeah.
imagine another comedian with his same brilliance, but not Dave.
Right.
Are you leaning in to hear what he has to say before he's earned our attention that way? Like, another
No,
comedian would get booed off the stage thinking that you about
absolutely.
to have
You
me
wouldn't even
listening
laugh.
for
I
10
wouldn't even
minutes
laugh.
and get a
I
couple,
wouldn't even laugh.
you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, it's like, all
What
right. But
what's
I
the
do get
difference?
it. He's
Yeah,
earned
what I
that.
mean, he's earned it. I mean, think about I watched some old shows with Richard Pryor. People
Mm,
were laughing before he even said anything,
right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he earned that respect, right?
Hmm.
It wasn't that the facial expression wasn't that funny. I mean, people are cracking up before he
Hmm.
opens his mouth. But I do think yes, at a certain point you've earned it. The Dave Chappelle show has earned him
Mm,
the right to say whatever the fuck he wants. Like
mm,
like he just get because it was that brilliant. It was
right.
ahead of its time, and he has been consistently brilliant.
Mm,
So yes, we do let things slide because it's Dave, but we've done the same thing with other comedians in the past.
mm. That's fair. That's fair. And like I said, if I watch it again, I may even like it a little bit more. You know what I'm
I think you
saying?
will because
Yeah,
now you've
it's
you've changed you've gotten out what you thought you were going to do.
because
Now watch it for Dave,
what
not
I
for
felt
comedians.
is that Dave is an album comedian. He's not a song comedian, right? He's gonna give you an album. Like, and we all know the good album where it's not really meant to play one song or two. So you might have your favorites, but you press start and you just let it go all the way through. And that's how he tell jokes. And that's why I was like, if you didn't catch the Falcon joke from the beginning, then
Right.
him talking about that if Puffy
Puffy.
ruined his Christmas, he goes send the Falcon on him. It's not going to hit as hard. You know what I'm saying? It,
It's
it
that.
it only hits as hard if you were paying attention to it. And most comedians aren't doing that. Once they leave off of a subject, they're off that subject. You know what I'm saying? And to your point, a lot of these comedians are making comedy for people with short attention spans. It is more slapstick in nature. You know what I'm saying? It is more spitfire as
Yep.
opposed to I'm about to you're in for a treat. And so I I can acknowledge, regardless of my grade, that that is brilliance. I can acknowledge that that is brilliance and that that sets him in a class on his own. You know what I'm saying?
Period. He's on an
And you
island
can he is he's on an island. You know,
for
and I
real.
think that's why I was like, I almost want to call it something different because I it's almost like a cheat code. You know what I mean? Like, other comedians wish they could do that, but they probably looking at it like, this nigga ain't nobody laughing. You know what I'm saying? I,
Right.
I brought the house down. They was crying, but they all just sitting there just listening. And it's like they probably wish they could do what he does, but it's like y'all are actually doing different things. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't want to beat that point up, but I that was something that I was curious to get was your perspective on it. As it relates to maybe even why you felt that it was great. And you said that in the early stage that he makes you want to listen, that he's telling stories
Couldn't
you
stop.
and you kind of know where it's going. And so he has kind of entered that space that when he shows up, we know what to expect. And it's a meal that we like. You know what I'm saying?
And
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 so
it's funny. I look at this just to make really light of it. I look at this as one of those things where if I was single and dating and was watching that with someone and the person said, "Yo, man, this ain't funny." Like, what do you like? Not even. I'd be like, okay, we're not gonna date anymore. We're done because you're not even paying attention. You're not understanding what this is. I cannot date anyone that did not
Right.
find
Would you
that
say you look at them
absolute
like they were stupid? Is that what
the
you do?
dumbass, right? Like, it's
You're a
like, how do
dumbass.
you not find this funny? Like, I
You
couldn't
like, I like
believe it.
Gary Owen, man. Gary Owen is the
Right?
best.
Like,
Which, by the way, Gary Owen
he's
is
funny. He's
pretty.
funny. He's funny.
He's funny. I
But
will
you know
give
how
him.
what I'm saying? Like, with certain comedy, like you want that person to
Mhm.
get it just like you do, right? So I'm like,
Right.
I'd be like, no, we don't have enough in common. Like it's just to be. I like intellectual comedy, but also I like if someone's pulling me in with a story,
Mm.
I'm all in.
And he
And
is great
he's
with that. Like he is elite with the storytelling. He is elite.
is.
He is elite. And again, that's why I'm just like, excuse me, we gotta call it something different. And again, this
Fair.
ain't for
That's fair.
nobody else. It's for him
Right.
because he's in his own lane. Like we're calling it comedy so that he can do stand-ups and make money. But
Right.
he is doing something different at this point. He like a griot. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, but okay. All right. So
All right.
all right, here we go. Because
Yes.
this was something that I couldn't wait to get to. I got to get your perspective on this one right here,
All
okay?
right.
And
I'm
and
ready.
it, right, so here we go. All right, so I'm gonna read this to you, okay? I went on a date yesterday, and I swear I almost deleted the apps. Everything was going well, conversation flowing, laughing, light vibes. At some point, I said I was going to the bathroom to touch up my lip gloss. I took a little longer, about 20 something minutes. Nothing crazy, just breathing, thinking, observing. When I came back, he was already acting weird. He asked if it was a test, if I was trying to make him jealous. Like, what? I literally just went to the bathroom. He stood up, paid his part, and left all offended. And then they say women are complicated. So what's your thoughts on that? I'm curious to get your perspective, right? Like when you hear that, what's going through your mind from that scenario? Because I'm curious. There's a lot going on in that. I'm just curious to get your perspective.
Okay, you took 20 minutes. The, I mean,
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm with him on this one.
So you with him? You with
I'm
him?
with him. I'm with him. 20 minutes, you're
Mm-mm.
calling somebody else. You're in the bathroom talking about him or calling your boo. What are you doing? 20 minutes? What do you mean you gotta breathe? Get back out there to your date. So that means you don't want him. This is stupid.
So
Like,
the 20 minutes automatically tells
it's way too
you
long. She cheated.
that
She don't want him.
you wait a minute. Would you say she cheating? Is that what you
She don't
said?
want him. Yeah, she don't want him.
I cannot with y'all, man. I cannot with y'all. I think I am in the minority on this post. I do not understand people with this post because 90% of the individuals in that thread felt exactly how you felt. I was the Lone Ranger, and I'm glad I didn't get there early because I probably would have got ratioed and they would have been calling me all kinds of Sims. I totally disagree. I completely disagree. Like,
she had to get herself to, I can't.
how many times? How many? Okay. So I read the scenario, and I said, and so we're reading it from her perspective. And
Right.
her perspective was she was in there, she was breathing, thinking, just existing, whatever, right?
Right.
But let's just say that she has said she just went to the bathroom
Mhm.
and then she came back. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? It was about 20 minutes. She took about 20 minutes and then he was acting weird. Do you think you would have still felt the same? Minus her admitting that she was in there just like just whatever was happening.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If she said she took 20 minutes at the bathroom and then he came back, it was like, man, is this a test? Do you think you would have still felt the same?
Well, no, okay, no, because then I would have been like, okay, well, does she have some stomach issues? Like she wasn't feeling well?
Exactly.
That's what I,
Exactly.
yeah,
Okay. All right. All right. Because and that's the perspective that I see it from, right?
right,
Was before he even asked her, is everything okay? Because I would have assumed you was taking a shit. I would
right,
have assumed either you was taking a shit or if you wasn't, something occurred. And people, oh man, did you fall in? Like, man, girl, what are you
right,
doing?
right,
Like, there would
right.
have been something that would have been lighthearted to try to acknowledge, girl, you didn't have me
Are
sitting
you
here or whatever.
okay?
You know what I'm saying? But like,
Mhm.
I think my thought process, and I feel like that thread was set up in a way to get us to do this because people went in and they was like, yo, first off, I think it's a bot. And it was like, secondly, in another thread of hers, she got a husband and this, that, and the third. So that's probably not a real scenario. So I'll
Right.
just put that out there, right? However, it still was fascinating to me. You know what I'm saying? To just watch the commentary and watch everybody like losing their shit because I'm just like, I'm looking at it from my perspective. Okay. Now, clearly I'm married, kids, all that shit. Okay. Let's say I'm single, I'm in them streets. Okay. Because I can remember the time when I was in them streets and there ain't no way that it's an attractive woman. We at dinner, I'm drinking and we vibing and you come back. First off, I don't even give a shit if you was talking to whoever. I'm trying to smash, okay? So I'm trying to make you forget whoever that was, okay? Nigga, I got a side piece too. Depending upon how tonight goes, I might be calling her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not, oh man, you trying to make me jealous? Shit, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I got a little competition. This shit, cool. You know what I'm saying? While you was in there, I was probably texting somebody else myself. So it's good to know we both ain't shit. Okay,
Right.
that's
We
my
here.
perspective.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, shit. Look, I'm gonna be right back. I was just flirting with the waitress a moment ago. Like, what the fuck? I ordered another drink. You coming back now? I got jokes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
We
my
vibing.
God.
I was
Oh
like,
my
what is with these new niggas today? You know what I'm
God. Right.
saying? Where you are so quick to be offended by something before you even ask. Like if you were curious, then ask and inquire, right? Let her tell
I
you. And if
agree.
it seems like she says something that's dismissive, then maybe be like, okay, yeah, nah, I don't like that. That feels a little disrespectful. And I might still kind of handle it like a player a little bit, on some old like, all right, but then that's just gonna give me some awareness of your character, right? And then I
Right.
just know to kind of like leave you alone. But for you to come back and be like, this is a test, you trying to make me jealous? Like, no, nigga, I was taking a shit. Like, what are you talking about? I had the runs. I had the shrimp and grits, nigga. Did you see all of that mixture, that goulash that was in there, nigga? Like, no, that's what it was.
Oh my
Do I need to
God.
bring you a stool sample for your confidence, nigga? You know what I'm saying? So again, that might be a fake scenario, but when I was reading the real people's reactions, I'm like, see, this is why we got a loneliness epidemic. Cause
Oh
y'all
my
niggas,
God.
y'all don't keep your eyes on the prize. Okay. You on a first date, you trying to close the deal. Whatever closing the deal means. You know what I'm saying? Like this is date number one. We trying to vibe. And if you've been vibing, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I know how women's bathrooms are. I might have been a line to get
Could have been
into
a
the
lie.
bathroom. It could have
It's
been
what she
anything.
said, Zeke. It's what she said.
It's what she said.
So
So I
yes,
think that
yes.
people saw the whole sitting vibe and all that extra shit. And immediately their mom was like, that's disrespectful. Shit, I read all of that and I was like, no, maybe she was up in there just like, I love him.
Oh
I
my
don't
God. I
know.
can't.
Listen, I
I
was
don't
still
know.
surprised that people read that and that they immediately moved towards being offended. I think that that's the part that caught me off guard, right? Was that it feels like we are all so wired nowadays, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And kind of on edge to the point where it's like we're almost anticipating the disrespect. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
any little thing that's less than perfect just validates an insecurity that we were already kind of working through, right? So the moment that you do something, it's up. See, that's what Kevin Samuels be talking about right there. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, can we go a few steps deeper into this so that we can try to figure out exactly what it is before we just become so assumptive. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that was the part that just kind of caught me off guard, was just the recognition of how jaded everybody was in the comment section, even off of, because I'm men, women, and of course women are so funny because they was just like, girl, don't make me agree with no niggas out here. Like,
Right.
girl, you got me taking the side of men, which
Got
I
me.
think that's funny when women say that. But I'm just like, I was just very amazed at, maybe she's a fairy type, right? Like, they ditzy and they all over the place. So whatever, people's like, well, you was in there doing drugs and y'all, I get it.
Okay, yeah,
She
right.
explained it in a way that may not align perfectly with who you are, but I'm like, is this how y'all having dates out here, where like the moment one thing occurs that appears out of alignment with what you think is appropriate, you're just ready to lose it. You know what I'm saying? And so I
And I
don't know.
think
I just
that's because we're exposed to too much, right? I think that,
mm,
and when I mean that, social media has completely jaded all of us to
mm,
create these scenarios in our heads that have not existed. I think 90% of the arguments that happen on social, whether it be threads, TikTok, these scenarios that people talk about, cheesecake factory bullshit,
oh
all that
yes,
stuff.
yes,
This does not exist. It never happened. So it's definitely this fake outrage, but it's kind of, I think, programmed in our brain that people are this way. And no, said nobody. There's not one woman who's turned down Cheesecake Factory. Fuck out of here. So this is so I really think it's just what we've created in our heads based on what's thrown at us on social media that has made us, yes, jaded for absolutely no reason. And now some of us that are a little older, we might have gone through some of these things to be like, oh yeah, that's some bullshit. But the majority of the time, yes, I believe that this younger generation is just jaded with social. And unfortunately, that is the way of the world now. And a lot of it ends up being true, unfortunately. Hmm.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
on that note.
No, you know what, and I do agree with you. And I think that is the part that was catching me off guard, is that I'm always seeing indications of that. There are some times where you understand what the outrage is, but to your point, uh, I know that social media is rewiring us. I think social media and just the tone and the tenor of everything has gotten so combative,
Right.
right? The algorithm, as we were talking about a moment ago, it incentivizes conflict. And
Yep.
so, there are times where I have to catch myself, and I've gotten a lot better with it over the past like couple of months, because I think that I was moving to strike very quickly. I think it might have been like shortly after the election, where we were all on threads, and it really felt very kumbaya-ish. And then when the people from Twitter started to make their way over, and they were kind of trying to do the Twitter thing over in the threads, oh man, we were all like assassins. We were just
Mhm.
going right for the jugular, and we didn't care about being mean spirited or anything. You know what I'm saying? And while there are times where I know that how we say, when they go low, we go to hell. Like, it ain't the when they go low, we go high. It's when they go low, we go to hell. But the reality of it is that I do honestly understand what the first lady was talking about, right? In a sense of going high isn't about doing it for the other person, right? Going high isn't some privilege or some benefit that you're affording the person that is challenging you or whatever. Like, no, the going high is intended to protect your peace. The going
Yeah.
high is intended so that you can maintain your vibration and the quality of your life. Because when individuals are in low places, like they say, misery loves company. Like,
Yes.
they have literally succeeded when they bring you to hell. That's what they wanted. They lonely in hell, nigga. It's hot. I want some company down here. So if I
Yep.
can bring you down here with me, I've won because that's actually what I wanted. And I think that we sometimes feel like taking the high road is putting us in a position to receive repeated offense. And it's like, nah, really, it's not. It's actually preserving us. It's the thing that makes us who we are. It's why they are so miserable, because they have the complete inability to go high. Right. And so, you know, I started kind of peeling back from that and saying, yeah, I'm going to leave certain comments on read. I'm going to do more blocking and more hiding and more, just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't no punk, so if need be, I'm gonna gather you, but there does need to be balance, because like I told you a moment ago, man, with the um activist woman that I was once a pretty big fan of. I think that that was a part of it. Like there's a point where combat becomes the only language that and it's not a switch that you can turn off. You start combating with everyone, right? So before, it was just, I'm combating Trump supporters and MAGAs and misogynists. And then it turns into, I'm combating my family and my boyfriend and people that I'm dating. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one gets the benefit of the doubt anymore, because
Bingo.
at the slightest moment of offense or just discomfort that may have even been unintentional, it could have been innocent. You weren't even aware of what it was that, you know what I'm saying, they meant. You didn't give them the benefit of the doubt to clarify, right? So woman takes 20 minutes, she comes back, man, was everything okay? Right? Like, maybe you could have done that, and oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, my stomach was kind of acting a little funny. And oh, girl, don't worry about it. You cool? You need me to go get you some Tums? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Right.
boom, conversation goes into a totally different space. But
With a
if the moment
solution.
that happens, it's like, is this a test? Are you trying to make me jealous, sir?
Man, if
Red
he
flag.
responded, right, but I say if he responded that way, and if that was a true scenario, that would be a blessing in disguise to make sure
Real
that you
talk.
do not date, because of course that's completely toxic. And that would not be an individual you'd ever want to be if they're going to assume something negative right off the rip.
Right,
So
right,
again, if that's true, then of course.
right.
But now, in the way that the story was told, I'd be like, 20 minutes to breathe. Like, no, like, girl, stop. You in there calling somebody, like, cut it out. Cut it out. You in there
and,
texting.
and you
But
know what? And to that point, because I can't lie, I do get it. I do get it. I think that there was once a point where, oh man, there was once a point where ignorance was so bliss, right? Like where even if the other person was doing something, you just didn't have social media to put you all up in a business and whatnot. So it was like you got a chance to have the relationship. The relationship existed in its own silo or its own vacuum. And I know some people don't like that, right? Because they feel like, no, I like knowing now. Like, these are the women that they want the code to your phone. They want to know where you're at all times. It's like, because to them, that is what trust looks like. Trust is, I need to know everything in order to feel comfortable, right? And I know that that comes from a space of trauma, right? It's a trauma response. I've been hurt a couple of times, and so now the only way that I can safeguard myself is that I need to know everything, and yeah, I don't know. I think I just look at things differently, man. Like, I don't want to know everything, because I know I can't handle everything. You know what I'm saying? And not meaning that I want to be cheated on, not meaning that I want to be with someone that's dishonest, but just meaning that, even inside of your honesty, nigga, there's some things I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just from an ignorance perspective, but I think that because we have this access now, we desire to know everything, but we've never asked ourselves the question, can we handle everything? Right? And to just kind of stretch that out a little bit, I don't mean like if someone is being duplicitous. I just mean like whether we are really prepared to consume the massive amount of information that is constantly being downloaded. You know, I thought about this earlier today, which is funny because I guess this does kind of tie in where I was like, and actually you just said something about it earlier where you was talking about how someone was posting something and it's got you to the point where you like you don't even want to see them or you don't want to kick it with them if you see them out in public again, right? And this is so fascinating to me because I'm like, yo, we are in this state where because we have the ability to share all of our thoughts, we do. And some of these thoughts were not meant to be shared with everyone. Some of these thoughts are actually meant to be internal thoughts, right? Whether it's something dark, whether it's something, you know, like sometimes it feels like the world is crazy now. It feels like the world is off its axis. And what I've been challenging myself with lately is it that it's off its axis or is it that we have too much access? A lot of this shit we didn't used to know. And so it allowed us to have some degree of autonomy because the thoughts in your mind are intense alone. I think we have something like, I can't remember how many tens of thousands of thoughts it is a day. It's something like 40 to 50 or 60,000 thoughts we have a day. It may even be more, but I believe it was somewhere in that vicinity. Those are your thoughts. That's a war that's going on in your own mind from just seeing mundane, regular shit. But then I hop on social media and I get access to all y'all crazy thoughts. My processor might not be geared up to deal with my thoughts and the complexity and the volume of them on top of thousands of other people. I think we're getting overloaded. Some of this shit's supposed to be a secret or just in smaller circles, right? Some people that be hopping on your post and commenting and got some smart shit to say. It's like, dude, why are you here? You could have kept scrolling. You're not supposed to be here darkening up my day. Regardless of whether or not you think you saying something that's wise or not. Nigga, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, your input is not valuable in my world. We're never going to meet. We absolutely have no influence on one another. Why are you commenting on my content right now? And I know this sounds very anti social media and, oh, we all got to go viral and, ooh, I want the engagement. I'm never going to meet you. Why are you relevant in this microsecond? Why am I going to allow this thing that you're about to deposit? You're a loser. You're saying something from a troll account that doesn't have your name or your picture, but you have the ability to talk shit under a post, and it's going to leave a deposit in me, and I'm going to invest in you, a loser. I'm going to invest in you, and whatever it is that you said is going to leave residue in my mind because I'm going to tell some other people about it. And maybe somewhere in the future, it's some insecurity is going to creep up and that little voice from that thing you said, some stranger in Virginia that I'm never going to meet, just left a deposit in my mind, and you should have never actually had access to me. That's part of what Dave Chappelle was talking about. Man, things feel weird. It is weird, but it's not because we are different. It's because we're doing something that I don't know if it's natural. And it's fucked up because I don't think it's going away, right? So it's like, I don't have the solution of where we go from here, but that's probably why we all feel off, because we're being overloaded with content and we're losing our thoughts because our thoughts are being bombarded, right? Like we are not able to focus. We don't have concentration. We're not meditating. We're not centering ourselves because every day we scroll through this curated, barrage of people's thoughts that the algorithm determine is what we want to see. And we're trying to figure out why the fuck we're going crazy. It's because we're outsourcing our thoughts to AI, right? We're allowing artificial intelligence to influence actual intelligence. And that shit's dangerous, man. It's dangerous, yo. That's why shit feels off. That is why we feel crazy. That is why this nigga did not focus on the prize, which is y'all having drinks. She cleared out her bowels, and you might smash tonight, okay? It's
And on that note, Isaac, you have dropped the mic. So
I'm just saying.
I will say
Yes.
it's been a great episode.
It's been a great episode, okay? I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna close out.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you go because you in a different time zone. You know what I'm saying? I got my little final thought because I got something that I need to say. Hey, leave your stuff connected into your stuff
Got
uploads.
it.
I gotta tell you that. You know how it goes. But I love you, Krishan.
Yes, I do.
And until the next time, you know what I'm saying? Listen, because look, this is what we do now, right? This is what we do, man. So I appreciate you hopping on and hollering at your boy, man. Straight up.
It was great. Till next time.
Until the next time. I love it, man. I love it. So yeah, y'all. That is where we're at, man. That is where we're at. I want to close, and I want to talk about something that's actually pretty important. And I don't have all the details ready. But it's something that the message that I want to give is actually bigger than the specifics of the details. But let me just pull it up though, because I may have a little bit of something that I want to say. Okay, so yeah, so I don't have all the details, but I was on TikTok the other day and I saw a reel from a woman who was sitting in a car and she was sharing a scenario that it was gut wrenching. And it was of a young woman who I believe she was in Virginia, may have been Charlotte, may have been Charlotte, and she was at a university. She was hanging out with some friends of hers, and they were all drinking. And like people do, it's happened to anybody that's consumed alcohol. For the greater majority of us, we've all had that moment where we take it a step too far, right? Unbeknownst to us, right? Maybe we were doing shots or just whatever, things happen. And she had crossed that point where she was inebriated to the point where she just didn't have control of her faculties. She had gotten separated from her crew. And so a good Samaritan noticed that she was kind of alone and called campus police to assist her in making it back to her dorm. Her friends, recognizing that they didn't see her, called her phone, and the Good Samaritan was still with her at the time, picked up the phone, said, "Hey, no, I'm with your friend. Yeah, she's kind of wasted." I called campus police and they're on their way. They're going to see to it that she makes it to her house. So they're like, oh, okay, cool. And the friends, say, yeah, let's just go ahead and, call it an evening just so that we can go back and check on our friend. They make it back to the dorm room. And when they go inside, they see that the officer is undressed. His body cam has been turned off and is sitting on the counter upside down. And he has his clothes removed and he is assaulting this woman, right? Sexually assaulting this woman, and I know that this might get flagged on TikTok because they got words that they don't want you to say, but I don't want to, soft shoe it, right? She was being sexually assaulted. And so I don't know what all the specifics were at that exact moment as it relates to, how they got her off or if there was an altercation, whatever. But the gentleman was arrested. And as of this point, he did serve a little bit of time. He's out on bail. And his trial is in like January 23rd, I believe it is. And um everything about this story is gut wrenching. Anytime that you hear about abuse or sexual assault, that in and of itself is one of the worst crimes that can happen because it's a violation. And it's one of those violations that is a violation of something that is so core, that is so pure, and that is so vulnerable, right? It's not just a typical fight. It's not getting robbed, right? It is having your body taken advantage of, utilized, right, against your will. And so that in and of itself is gut wrenching. But then the idea that it happened from the very person that was supposed to be protecting this young woman, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Right? Like, seriously. Even when you're doing it the right way. You had the Good Samaritan that called this person literally swore an oath and was trained to do the right thing. And it's like we can't even trust the police officers, right? Now, as a black male, this don't come as no big surprise to me that cops do shit that is illegal, but I'm not gonna go down that space. But it still is just wild to know that on a campus where it is your job to look after the students, that you would take advantage of a person that was in an incredibly vulnerable position, and assault them, right? So when I saw the woman that was making this original post, she said she was speaking towards the men, and she was like, what are you doing to see to it that this does not happen? Like, what are you doing to make this situation better? Not just this situation, but just assault and, sexual assault. Like men specifically. What five things are you doing to eradicate this from our world? And you could just really hear the passion, and just the frustration and the pain in this woman's voice that was sharing this. And so because I was curious and I just wanted to just go a step deeper, I clicked on the name of the man that got arrested, and I saw other people that were making posts about this, and it was all women. And I found this one sister that was also sharing this story. And when she shared the story, she took it from a very similar tone where she was like, men, what are y'all gonna do about this? Like, what you gonna do about your people? How are y'all gonna make this better? And in watching everything that she said, it was a very passionate, very articulate plea, that she was making, but it was making me feel very uncomfortable as I was hearing it. And I had to kind of analyze what it was that I was feeling, and I went into the comments. And as I was reading the comments, I was reading comments from women that were actually pretty dismayed at the lack of men that were, one, speaking up about this particular scenario, but then two, that were even making comments. And so I scrolled quite a bit and I couldn't find any men that had made any comments about this inside of the comment section. And I said, okay, I need to say something. But again, I felt uncomfortable and I could not figure out why I was feeling uncomfortable until it dawned on me. It's because I don't have anything to say. I do not have a solution. I do not have a solution, right? There was no bit of wisdom that I can say. There was nothing that I could say that would absolve me of responsibility, you know. Um I like to believe that I'm not only a staunch fan and advocate and supporter and defender of women. I try to use my platform in ways that I think is responsible. Even just what we do with the discussions that we have, women have pretty much powered this discussion, you know, and I've always tried to manage these discussions with the utmost respect and see to it that, you know, there are certain things that we just do not tolerate. It's never been a mean spirited discussion. And I've always tried to promote growth, right? And like togetherness. Um, but none of that absolves me of responsibility, of potentially doing more significantly. And so I was just sitting there thinking, like, damn, I like the first woman asked, like, well, what's the 5 things you're doing? And I immediately thought, damn, 5. That was the first thing I thought, 5. And I was like, I probably couldn't even come up with 2. I might be able to come up with 1, but 5. And I was like, wow. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm like, and I'm contemplating, you know, and I'm like, what are the things that I'm doing? You know, and then I got to thinking about how, you know, as a black person, you know, we talk about how it's not enough to say you're not racist. You know, a lot of people, a lot of times when we talk about race and we talk about racism and we talk about white supremacy, people that are on the progressive side, people that are on the woke side, you know, we understand that it's not enough to just say that you don't use the N word and that you're not racist, because what we know is that if you're white, you are benefiting from the system. You're benefiting from the system of white supremacy. So it's not enough to say I'm not racist. You're still benefiting from racism indirectly. Doesn't have to be direct. You don't have to be the one cracking the whip. If you're receiving monies from it, if you're, you know, somehow getting ahead based off of privilege that your counterparts don't have, you are benefiting from it. So it's not enough to say that and think that that absolves you of any responsibility. You have to be anti-racist, which means that you have to work towards dismantling the system. I know this, right? But in my own male-centered space, I have not done that to dismantle the system of patriarchy. I have not been more vocal and more active about really what it means to protect Black women and to protect all women, right? I have not been as vocal as I could be. I think that maybe in my mind, I thought it was enough that I did not hang around those types of people, that the things that I promoted was progressive and, you know, some might even call me a feminist. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that I fall in that realm of believing feminist ideals, but that's not enough to believe it if I'm not putting forth the action towards assisting to dismantle the system. And so, you know, as I'm sitting here and I'm having to acknowledge and I'm having to admit my ignorance, right? And you know, I think that that's the first step, is to acknowledge that you are ignorant and to acknowledge that I need to do not only more research, but I need to listen more and to have more conversations with women, you know, to figure out what needs to be done, because I don't want to mansplain this. I in my mind, I was trying to think about what the solutions were, and I'm not even gonna try to articulate where my mind was heading. But in every scenario, on some level, it was absolving me of active responsibility, right? Because in my mind, I felt like, what power do I have in attempting to convince men that are aware of the fact that they are benefiting from this system to do it because it's the right thing to do. And so in my mind, I was like, man, well, what's the incentive? How do I create an incentive that tells men you should do this, even though you're benefiting from this system, you should do this because it is morally the right thing to do. And I was like, I don't know how I sell that. And I almost used that as a cop out, not because I did not want to do more, but just because I was stuck. I was just like, the system is jacked up. You know what I mean? Um, but I do know that that's not fair and that that's not enough. So I want to do more and I plan to do more. I am being very transparent and very humble in saying that I do not know how. And so I want to create this dialogue. I want to open this up for women to share your thoughts. I want to start here. I think that this is my ground zero. I want to start here so that I can start to educate myself on what are the things that I could or should be doing that can assist in moving this forward and not only making this more important to other men, but changing the way that this system operates because it happens way more than anyone wants to acknowledge. And, every time that we try to have this conversation, there's more people that are defending it. There's more people that are trying to downplay it than just really like leaning in and saying, you know what, it is a problem. Right. And because I'm not one of the culprits that's trying to come up off of it, I don't have anything to preserve. I don't have anything to defend. So I am a blank sheet and I really want to start this dialogue. And I would really love for, people to share with me what I can do on an individual basis and even possibly what I can do to help happen on a collective basis because I know that it's obviously bigger than me, but it would start with me. And I really do want to know what that looks like because just being a good dude is not enough. If I'm not helping to dismantle the system, if I am not working actively to dismantle this system, then on many levels, I'm an accomplice and I don't want to be an accomplice. So again, this is my open letter. This is my open letter to say that I'm dialed in because I heard the message and it was received. And so ladies, I apologize that I'm late to the party. I apologize that I'm just now getting the message, but like I said, I felt that discomfort and it was because I had to acknowledge I don't have a solution, but not having a solution does not mean that I should just sit still and allow it to exist because that is not the solution. I know that sitting still is not the solution and that's not what we're going to do. So that being said, you guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. This is, the script. And normally when I do this, it is in conjunction with blackdoctor.org. They are in the process of reorganizing some things and shuffling some things. I took some time off because I've been working on some stuff on my own. Really excited about that. But no, you guys are going to start seeing me a lot more often because, it's important. It's important. And I've missed this, man. I've missed the interaction. I've missed getting out and sharing my thoughts. And so, it's always a joy. And man, I really appreciate you all like tuning in and just the continued support, the continued engagement. Because this is how we grow, man. This is how we grow. And I don't think that there are many of us in this space that are being vocal. I know that there's this joke sometimes that we'd be like, man, we got to take they podcast mics away, man. We need to put tariffs on microphones, and as playful as that is, it's like, honestly, when it comes to us in our community, we actually need more people being vocal, because when you really look at who's controlling the narrative, it's not enough of us. It's not enough of us. And while we got some heavy hitters out here, we do got some people that's doing some great work, that's saying some great things. All of our voices have the potential to resonate. And it's not a matter of whether or not you got 10 million followers or 20 million followers and how many views you get. Man, listen, your 100 views could really be changing somebody's life, right? And it's not about turning this into your full-time job, but it's like you have a voice and you got access, man. And we are in a day and age right now where they are doing everything in their power to control media, right? That's something that we didn't really talk about, but like, they are consolidating these big companies, and it's getting to the point where getting messages out is about to be more complex and more complicated. But one thing about us, and by us I mean us, is that when we sing together, we create a chorus, and that allows our volume to grow, right? And it allows us to be heard much further. So sometimes it's not a matter of how loud one person's voice can be, it's about how loud all of our collective voices can be. And so that's why it's important, man, for us to just continue to engage and not feel like just because you don't have some huge platform that you're not adding value. Because I'm here to let you know you do. So, as always, you guys, man, it is a pleasure. You know what I'm saying? This was fun. And until the next time.